Bears Country. Where is it? You down with BCP? You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
You down with BCP?
Haven't seen my new dance yet, Dan. Trying to find your avatar while I'm dancing.
All right.
I'm trying to walk and chew gum at the same time here. There we go. There we go. What do you think of my dance, Dan?
I think we're both Caucasian and it's not good. I want to shout out my guy Jay Bonds, man, because Jay was like, hey, you all should do a show again. Like, why did you quit doing the show? And when are you doing a show? And he's supposed to be listening to us now. He normally goes to bed really early, but he's on vacation and said he was going to be checking in tonight. He and his lady are going to Hawaii this week.
Oh, no. Where? Not Maui.
Well, I said, I hope you don't, get around the smoke and stuff. He's like, oh, we handled that. So I guess wherever they're going, it's going to be okay. And most importantly, he's supposed to be with us tonight in the relaunch.
Well, hopefully we'll see him in chat. Speaking of chat, what's up, guys? Ryan Schlanzer, Kyo Carito, great to see you again. David or something. Nice to see you, David or something. Cliff Victoria saying Dan and the other Dan. See, now you're the other Dan.
No, I'm the other Dan.
You're the other Dan. I wanted to call it the other Dan show, but I just went with the classic Last Call at Halas Hall because we were doing that last year together on BCP. So I think it's fitting that we just reboot the Last Call at Halas Hall.
Well, that works for me.
It's great to hear your voice and talk to you again, man. It's been a little while.
Yeah, obviously, if anyone is aware, or perhaps they didn't know, we did, I don't know, probably 2 months worth of work on Mondays last season, and then obviously there was the time that was all four of us on Bare Their Souls. So we've worked together before, and I've held you in high esteem. And Jay was like, God, I wish you all would do the show again together. So I was like, why aren't we doing a fucking show? Can I cuss? What's the rating on this?
Yes, you can cuss.
Okay. Well,
Yes,
I didn't know, like, if you wanted to keep it cleaner or something. So the point is, though, I was like, well, why aren't we doing a show? I mean, why shouldn't we do a show? I mean, we're just two guys that love the Bears, and that's enough for me,
I know when you sent that to me and you were telling me about your buddy Jay bringing that up, it was very heartwarming. I was like, wow, somebody actually listened to us talk. Specifically me, I should say.
Of course, man.
Everyone likes hearing your voice. You have that excellent radio voice, and you're in a professional studio, and you make us all sound bad. So nobody wants to hear my dorky voice. It's nice to hear what it actually does.
Yeah. So I think that they're both, we're two different voices, but together, it's a good mesh,
Well, we do have one thing in common. We are huge Bears fans. We both have a birthday on a holiday.
Right. You're Christmas, I'm Halloween.
Yeah. And both of our wives left us with a bunch of cats for another man that she worked with.
I lost one of my cats, though, via that terrible thing known as death. So yes. I don't want to complain too much. I've got 4 of them still, and I try to take care of them. If you don't mind me giving you a quick story.
Sure.
I was so I feel eerie. I'm not trying to be dramatic or funny or anything, but I had to take a big ass loan to get my basement. They're going to install some shit in my basement to keep it dry, basically to finish it. It's a drainage system. And I had to sign for it a loan that's $10,600. And it was it's $115 a month for 15 years. And I signed the thing. I was like, God damn, am I going to be alive 15 years from now? I mean, I really felt like I'm probably not going to be alive in 15 years.
Well, if you're
It was
not,
such a weird feeling.
then you won't have to pay off the loan.
But still, I mean, like, God, I mean, I'm going to be 43 on Halloween. Can I make it to 58? Like, ooh, I don't know, man. I just stress and, anxiety. Like, I don't know. I feel like my heart's like, bro, you know better. You're not going to make it that far. But somewhere along the way, please, for the love of God, can we win a Super Bowl? How about this year? That would be great if we could do it this year. And I want to serve you up on this then and play a little point myself. I tried. My guy Ron, who got us tickets to the Raiders game, was telling me that I needed to try to listen to CHGO. And I hadn't listened to any of it. And I did like what's his name? Carm. When he used to host with Dan Hampton and
Mark Carman.
Yeah, Mark Carman. I thought he was good on there. So I was like, all right. Plus, I want to give Bragg some love. I talked with Braggs frequently, well, not frequently, but I have, and he's a nice enough guy. So I try to listen to it. Right. Well, he didn't show up for the show, so fuck him. He's a terrible guy. That's what I've always said about no. But I tried to listen. I mean, this is not a shot at him or Hogue or anybody. Okay, I guess it's a shot at Hogue. You know what I hate more than anything? The Bears played decent in a preseason game, right? We all can be happy about what we saw. Of course, there are a couple of things we could talk about that we didn't like, but overwhelmingly as Bear fans, I think Saturday we could be happy. First thing they do, oh, Super Bears, Super Bowl, just fucking mocking it. I hate it. I turned it off. Like, you can't be happy about any success, or someone like Adam Hogue will call you a meathead or, act like you're fucking stupid just because you have your hopes up. It's just so condescending to me. It's just like, don't pretend to be a fan then if you think we're dumb because we get our hopes up. Is he a fan? I don't know what he is, man. Like I see why Olin said, I'm going to fucking shut you up. I hate that. Anytime that the Bears win, they're like, oh, Super Bears, Super Bowl, their fake Chicago act, the super fans like accent. Yeah. I hate that though. Does anybody else get annoyed by that when like, yeah, I am happy about the game Saturday. I mean, why shouldn't I be? Why shouldn't anybody supporting the Bears be happy about Saturday? Well, Dan, I predicted that Justin Fields would go 10 for 10 for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he just didn't live up to my expectations. Well, the other thing could be, well, he threw 2 touchdowns, but did he throw the ball down the field? And it's just like, well, you had 2 guys make plays, and if we could do that week 1 against Green Bay, I may get arrested in Soldier Field for beating my penis. Like, oh my God, touchdown! I may have to touch myself. Like, I do to the Paul Rubens for his theater action. But sir, we got to beat Green Bay, right? And like plays like that help us beat Green Bay. One of the things that your buddy Jay said to you in that heartwarming text about seeing us do something together again was our reaction to that, to the Green Bay losses. Yeah. In real time, and how much like he appreciated that. And Dan, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle a fucking loss to the Packers in the first game. People here, Foster and PJ, people in chat, they've tried to talk me, out of this. Okay, well, they're technically a more seasoned team. Jordan Love's been on the team for a while. He's just kind of plugging and playing. If we lose that game, maybe all is not lost. But seriously, like this, I remember feeling this way when Favre retired. Like, oh, we got these motherfuckers now, right? And then insert Aaron Rodgers. We go to a championship game, lose to them in one of the most devastating losses of my lifetime, and then the next chapter is written with Hall of Fame quarterback. And I can't. There's no way he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? There's just no way. But if he comes out on fire and they beat us, I think it just. And love stinks. It is a shot to the fucking balls if we lose to them again. If real quick, just to veer back to what you were saying about last season's show. What was that? Week 2, the first loss to Green Bay last year. I remember us both saying to each other, like, I don't even want to do a show tonight. Like, what do I say? Like, this is terrible, And then it did feel a little bit cathartic afterwards. But I guess, like, the thing that Jay was saying is that, man, I guess he felt the same way. It's just like, God, I don't even know what to say after that. That's so terrible. And I guess he could feel our passion, and that resonated with him. So I think that's the strength of the show. Is like, we're legitimate fans. We're not trying to say we're breaking down tape or we're going to tell you how great we are, smart we are. And I'm not taking shots at anybody when I say that. I'm just saying, like, we're just fans, man. And we're just trying to vent. This shit matters, man. This shit fucking matters. Yes. And like you said, if they lose week 1 again, well, what we lose to them on opening day in 19, and that was so devastating because we thought we're going back to the Super Bowl. And then in 15, the first game with John Fox, thinking, oh, Trestman's gone. We got a real coach now, a guy that's taken 2 teams to the Super Bowl. We get Green Bay opening day. In both situations, their games are somewhat tight. The Bears fall and lose. Mm-hmm. If they lose this year, like I've said so many times, week 2's in Tampa. I know they don't have Brady anymore. It's hot as fuck in Tampa, especially in week 2. Ditka used to always struggle going to Tampa Bay when we played them if it was early in the year. It's going to be 105 degrees or something on the field down there. And then you get KC in week 3. You saw what we did in the heat against the Dolphins a couple of years ago in Miami. Went down there and lost, and that's when we had a really good team. So I'm saying you lose to the Packers, you could find yourself 0-2 or even 0-3, and then what do you got? Conversely, you beat Green Bay, you get some momentum, you find yourself 2-0, and then maybe you upset Mahomes at Arrowhead. So it matters. Like, momentum matters.
It does matter. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge everybody else here in the chat that's joining us. King Buka World, Mr. Mayhem, Dylan Prescott, Demand, Jeremy Munoz. Thank you for joining us. STC, thank you for joining us tonight, guys. I
hope that guy's right. I see all kinds of stuff like that online. Like, there's no way we can lose. Yeah. Dude, I've been a Bear fan so long. There's always a way we can lose.
Q saying I don't think there's even a 1% chance we lose to them. Listen, I'm not saying that I don't think we're going to lose to them. That's what would make the loss so much more devastating if we did. Because there is always the effect, or we can be as confident as we want. But if they walk out there and lose that game I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think we're going to win that game. I think we're going to win it handedly. I think we're going to kick the shit out of them, like you were saying a couple of chats ago.
That'd be great.
But if we lose that game, I don't know. My head might explode.
Like I said, it matters. This is the new regime. You got a new president. Everyone hated Sweaty Teddy. He's gone. He's working on the new stadium. Mr. Warren, we had all those losses last year. Also, it's all because we wanted to get the number 1 pick. They were tanking. Mm-hmm. All that's in the rear view now. So now it's go time. Now is when we try to win. This is when we want to win. When we start out with our it's like it's a statement of the whole program that you've been making the right moves and doing the right thing, and now this is like, it's like when you go to the polls politically and they say today's a referendum on blank. I feel like everything comes down. Like, if they win, it's like, see, we're heading the right direction. We're headed in the right direction. But morally, if they lose, maybe we're still heading in the right direction. But maybe you're still a year or 2 away if they lose, is what it feels like to me.
I love how you just said that, because we would still, if we lost the game, if we got our asses blown out, obviously that would be a big deal. But if we just lost the game by 3 points or something like that, that would still be a big deal. But there would still at least be the hope to go into, it was the first game of the season. Everyone's got their shit to work out in that first game. The first game is always, a little odd and difficult for everybody.
Right.
Getting the jitters out and stuff. But I'm on the record as saying we're not going to lose that, but and I'm not prepared for it if they do. So I don't know what hopefully I'm not on the PSF app. You probably don't know this about this, Dan. I've signed a contract with PSF. They're a mobile sports. They're a mobile app, Pro Sports Fanatics, and we're going to be streaming the Bears games. So I don't know who I'm going to be paired yet with, but it could be a former player or a current journalist, and we'll have to watch the game on our phones in real time, live watching the game. And I just pray I don't get that Packers game, because we have to. There's going to be two teams, and we're going to have one team's going to have 9 games, the other team's going to have 8 games, and we can pick from a calendar which games we do and stuff. So, like the Chris Watts game, I'll be at Soldier Field for that game, so I won't be doing that. But if I'm doing that Packers game, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I should request the Packers game just to get my actual emotions out, like in real time on this app, because maybe it'll help it grow. Because then again, my wife's like, I don't know if you should be on an app for, online for a Packers game. People might think differently of you. I'm like, yeah, but they might think better of me. Who knows?
Yeah. I knew that you had something going on with Sean Salisbury. I didn't know the extent. I knew it was going to be like the Manning cast or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I have to say, and I'm not being critical of it, I couldn't do that. I want to watch the game. I don't drink at games. I don't drink at home watching the game. Like, I want to watch the game. In fact, I probably won't even be able to communicate with my friends now this year, because where I have to stream because of Sunday Ticket being on YouTube, anybody back in Illinois that's watching on regular TV is going to be like 4 plays ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear like, oh, touchdown Bears. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like 1st and 5. After that penalty, it's 1st and 5. We're at the 30. So I may have to put my phone down and not even communicate during the game now.
Foster and I did the live game cast for the preseason game, and he was 30 seconds ahead of me easily. So I just had him do play-by-play, because he was the one that was the most caught up from anybody in chat, because he was sitting there in Chicago watching it over the digital airwaves, literally with an antenna.
So much better than streaming. I hate that they forced that on us. It should still be an option, to get it the regular way. Yeah, but I mean, I guess money talks, man. YouTube paid them, or Google, who owns YouTube, paid them an infinite amount of money to get the exclusive rights. So that's what we're stuck with. Mm-hmm. And I record all the games, So, and if anyone's listening, I do not profit off of it. I do not violate copyright laws. So I'll have to record like the games I'm at this year, because before I could record it on my TiVo with Sunday Ticket, but I'll have to just record it off of Game Pass or NFL Plus, is what they call it now. Because if I'm at week 1, which I'm going to be, I won't be home to record it. So I'll have to record it off of NFL Plus. So it's so hard now to be a fan, but at least there's options, because I want the games, whether they're negative or positive. I like having the games, and you put something in, it could be random, like 2002 week 7, it's just like, holy fuck, it feels like a lifetime ago. And I like being able to do that.
Yeah, I know. I was worried about that, because I was wondering how you were going to be able to record the games.
Well, I'm going to
ways of recording.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I was going to say, I'm going to be able to, I have to go through Google Chromecast, which is kind of like Amazon's, whatever they call there. It's akin to the Fire Stick, is what I was trying to say. So I can watch it through there and then record it. But since I won't be there live, I won't have a DVR feature. I can do it through NFL Plus.
I like let's get to some of the chatter, because I like what's going on here. Keto's saying, I said it yesterday, but I think the Bears will have an offense we have never seen before. There will be simply no reference for our offense. Man, I love what you are laying down, Keto. Saying they're going to be 6-0 to start the season.
Oh man,
Homerville Central, man, you're right here with us.
Oh God, what would Adam Hogue say about that? Meatball sub, meatball sub. Like, fuck you, man.
Demand is asking how Aldo's doing.
Aldo, he and I spoke for an hour and a half the other day, and it wasn't me saying like, come on, Aldo, talk to me. Like, I'm worried about you. Like, he volunteered it. And I don't think he set out to talk to me that long, but it was like he had just gotten out of jail or something. But the point is, talking to him, his mind is sharp, man. He's Aldo. Like,
Good.
he may not feel well physically, but you wouldn't know it. And he's been doing some videos online. I expect him to be on fire tomorrow night, like in a good way, like with
Good.
rhythm. I think he's improving. I told him that too. I was like, I'm not God. I'm not clairvoyant, but I think you're going to be okay. I really talking to you now, you sound like yourself. I'm not so worried about you anymore.
Good to hear it. Let's see,
What was
else?
the thing about Sunday Ticket? I just missed the comment.
Cliff is saying I signed up for Sunday Ticket and dropped NFL Plus. Hated waiting until after the game to see it.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to have both again, just to be able to watch the games if I'm at the stadium and unable to record it live. So it'll be an option to at least still record it for myself.
That's good. At least you can still record it. I mean, to a DVD?
Yeah, like my DVD recorder, it's like a VCR would have if I'm dating myself to the kids listening, but yeah, you recorded like something straight live as it was happening. It's like my DVD recorder has nothing to do with the computer. It's hooked into my television.
Right.
So the Google Chromecast goes into that. I have to use a splitter because that one's like standard definition, the one's high definition, but it all works out. So
I like what Key was saying here too. I'm thinking it will take half the season before teams can legit game plan against us. I like this. I like the optimism.
yeah, what are we supposed to be, like, pessimistic because
Right.
to not be meatball fans, we're supposed to say gloom and doom all the time?
I'm literally hoping for an MVP season out of Justin Fields this year. I'm not predicting it, but man, am I hoping for it. Why can't it happen? We see it happen all the time. There's always a darling quarterback of the league every year. There's always a new darling quarterback. Last year, it was almost Justin Fields. He was right on the cusp, but everyone wanted to call him a running back. This year, I think he takes that next step, and he's he could very well be MVP.
I got a good anecdote that you'll like. This is coming from a Philadelphia fan. The guy that was doing the evaluation on my basement Friday, and he's giving me the bad news of like, dude, this is groundwater. You're going to have to deal with this. If you don't, you're going to have mold. So to try to break whatever like seriousness that we're having, because he knows I'm going to have to get a loan, and I've got a Fields jersey on. So he tries to, like, break some ice with me to talk football. And he goes, look, I'm a real Eagles fan, not a bandwagon fan. He told me he went to their NFC Championship win a few years ago over Minnesota. He goes to Philly, he goes to games. So he's a real fan. I'll take him at his word. But he looks at my jersey and he goes, you know what? I don't know what you think. He's like, are you a real Bears fan? I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, I love Justin Fields. This was coming from an Eagles fan. He says to me, if anybody that says Fields can't play, like, I don't understand it. He's like, just give the guy some offensive line, give him some protection. He's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
This was coming from an Eagles fan. He's like, Justin Fields is great. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So and of course he made the comparison to Jalen Hurts, but he said, like, if you get rid of Fields, you're crazy. And he volunteered all this. Like I said, just trying to make conversation. Maybe he's lying to me and placating me. I don't know, but it felt genuine. And coming from a guy that likes another team, it was like, wow, okay.
I heard the same thing from Dolphins fans saying the same thing about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Justin Fields he's going to take the league by storm this year. I think people are really feeling it. Other than Colin Cowherd, of course. He likes to shit all over anything quarterback related for the Bears. Doesn't matter. If Jim McMahon was playing right now the way he did, winning, 20 plus games in a row, he would shit all over him. He'd find a way to shit on him.
Yeah, he'd be like, there's not enough spirals. He's too reckless.
Holding on to the ball a little bit too long.
He drinks a lot of alcohol. Like, is he in shape? He drinks a lot of booze. Yeah, there would be some kind of criticism. I always say that about Dan Wiederer too. He could be the beat writer for the 85 Bears, and like week 1, he'd be like, the Bears are down 28-17. This defense is overrated. They're missing Todd Bell and Al Harris. They're not going anywhere this season. Walter's getting older. McMahon's always hurt. This team has no shot. That would be Dan Wiederer if it was week 1 of 85.
Yeah. They almost lost to the lowly Buccaneers.
Yeah, you're going to have games like that. I mean, look at us last season. Philly goes to the NFC or the Super Bowl representing the NFC. And what happened? They nearly lost at Soldier Field to a team that won 3 games in the Chicago Bears. It happens. If the Bears are good this year, we're going to have a game where we're like, holy shit, this team sucked and we almost lost. But that's a sign that you're a good team, actually, when you play down and like you're flat and you can overcome that. I know everyone will say, if you're a good team, you're not. That's human nature. Sometimes, like if you just want a big game to be like a trap game. So if like they have a big win, let's just say against Kansas City, right? And then Denver comes the next week. If they beat Mahomes, it's going to be hard to be up for Denver. And then maybe you struggle and win 20-19, but fuck, you won,
Right. Those Denver game and the Raiders games, they always freak me out whenever we play those teams. And the Giants, I don't know why, and the Saints. We play the Saints this year, and 2 of those other teams, the Raiders and the Broncos. So those games, I'm always a little bit worried about those games because it's hard to predict because you just don't have much history to go off of like you do with some other teams.
One of my favorite wins ever was against the Saints, though. And I remember I got to watch it live, even though I wasn't in Illinois. It was like week 9 of 91, and the Saints were undefeated. They had this slogan called "Cha-ching," had to do with their sacks. And they were selling T-shirts that said "Cha-ching." And they hadn't lost a game since the Bears put them out of the playoffs the year before in 90. So the Bears are going to the Superdome, unbeaten Saints. Harbaugh, literally in the fourth quarter, was something like 2 of 17 passing. He's having a terrible day. He's throwing like 20 yards all game. And then it comes down to one drive, and Harbaugh leads us down the field, and we win. In a game where it's probably one of the worst games he ever played as a Bear. But when they needed a drive, he took us, and those unbeaten Saints were defeated by the 91 Bears. Love it.
That was the Vic Fangio linebacker squad, wasn't it? With
No, this is the Ditka era, still 91 with Jim Harbaugh at quarterback.
No, I mean but that defense of the Saints, wasn't that they had those linebackers? I think Vic Fangio was the linebackers coach of that team.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, I did not know that. I remember they had Pat Swilling was their leader back then.
Pat Swilling is one of them I was trying to think of. There was Sam something.
Sam Mills, maybe?
I think Sam Mills.
I think he died, actually. We don't want.
Yeah, he did. But
they called him the field mouse because he was so small.
He played for a while,
though. That's a guy that would end up costing us a 95, though. Again, I've told the story so many times. The Bears had to beat Philly and then have Atlanta lose to San Francisco, and they make the playoffs. And San Francisco had beaten Atlanta like 20 out of 21 games, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions. And Jeff George gets hurt. And late in the game, they bring in Bobby fucking Hebert, who leads a drive to beat San Francisco in under a minute and puts us out.
Right.
And Bobby Hebert was the Saints quarterback that day in 91. I always hated Bobby Hebert for that shit in 95.
Yeah, me too.
Bobby Hebert. Fucking bomb, Bobby Hebert, wherever you are.
Q Carito is saying, let me tell you, it's a struggle living outside of Chicago. So fucking expensive paying for Sunday ticket and shit. I get maybe 5 games a year that are prime time.
Right. I get it.
I mean, I grew up in Chicagoland and I don't live there anymore, and I miss that. It sucks having to pay for, I mean, I'm happy to be able to watch the games, because I said this before when DirecTV, because I was like, I don't want to have to get a subscription to DirecTV for 2 years just to watch NFL Sunday Ticket. And why can't they just sell me the NFL Sunday Ticket? I'm like, I'd pay $400 for it. And here we are. YouTube now has it, and they're charging $400 for it. So I guess I got my wish. Actually, they're charging more than that, aren't they? Isn't it like
$450? Yeah, but I got $100 off because I bought it in June or May, whenever it was. They give you $100 off one time. Next year, it's going to renew at $450.
Oh, that really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it auto renews at that. So you don't even get a grace period. Like I think this year it was June 10th.
No, they said next year it's $450. It's a one-time deal to have the $100 off. Of course, you could always cancel. But if you want it, it's going to renew again for $450. They don't even allow you the installments that DirecTV at least gave you, like 6 installments of $50 or whatever. Yeah, you got to pay it one lump sum with Google/YouTube.
Oh man,
I'm so worried that opening day. Of course, I won't be there because I'll be at the game in Chicago, but the opening day, it's week 1, and like you said, if you're not in Chicago, more than maybe not, because that's the 3:25 Central. That might be the national game that day across the country, because it's the doubleheader game. It's the second one. But either way, if you have to watch it on Sunday Ticket, you turn it on, and you just know there's going to be quote unquote bugs to work out. Is it going to crash? Is it going to be buffering? All these terrible things that you don't want. Now, I would see people complaining about DirecTV, but man, I've had DirecTV. I still have it, but I've had it since like Clinton was president, and Sunday Ticket was always reliable for me. Always. It was always there, and it always worked. People were always bitching about it, but they were effective for me. I never had one game where I was like, oh, that DirecTV cost me blank. Never. Right. I got all my games. Always.
See, what I always did with DirecTV was when my subscription would come back around and they would try to, when I knew it was going to be renewed for Sunday Ticket, I would call and just go right to the cancellation department. And then when I got to the cancellation department, they'd be like, well, okay, what can we do to retain your business? I'd be like, give me NFL Sunday Ticket for free. It's the only reason why I'm paying for this, contract. They're like, okay, done. So I would get it for free just about every year, but you can't do that anymore. But I was going to say there was a tip for you guys, but it's on YouTube now. But that did seem to work. So
I know
sorry I gave you the information too late, guys.
Our pre-talk before we went on air. I want to give this guy some credit for something he did for me. Now, I'd already paid for my Sunday Ticket. This is probably the 2019 season, the 2020 season. It was one of those 3-4 years ago. And Shane Marsaw was like, dude, just fucking call and tell him you're going to cancel. And like everything you just said, I was like, I've already paid for it. So he goes, why don't you just call and say you want the rest of your account free then, or something like that. And I was like, I can't do that. He's like, Dan, what's your fucking account number? He called DirecTV. Shane Marsaw called DirecTV and pretended to be me. I don't know what he said to them, but they gave me $80 off a month or $75 off a month for a whole year because of whatever Shane did. And big ups to him, because I wouldn't have done that. I don't have the temerity to go and threaten when I'm lying. I can't lie. I'm not canceling your service and my service with you. I want Sunday Ticket. I'm not going anywhere. Like now, I could legitimately leave and mean it, but not then. But yeah, Shane did that for me. He called and pretended to be me.
All your cards on the table, where you just not going to do that.
Shane did that for me. He saved me all that money a month for a whole year, man, just because he called to pretend to be me.
What is up, J2K and PJ? PJ will be joining us later with Foster. I only did that because I worked in the customer service. I worked for TiVo actually years ago.
Wow.
In the customer service department. When somebody would call in, there was different levels. So if they just needed technical support, they would go to, one level. If they needed, billing support, obviously they'd go to billing. If they wanted to cancel, they go to cancel. Every layer has a different, they have different permissions to things that they can give out for free to keep you happy. In the case of the retention department or the cancellation department, they have all the tools that they can provide you to retain your business. So you just tell them you're quitting. You said, I don't give a shit. I'm canceling. I don't care. I'll pay the whatever the balance is, the prorated balance, whatever, to get out of the contract, they will turn around and give you that Sunday ticket for free. Well, at least they used to. But
one of the jobs I had 20 plus years ago, I worked for DirecTV's competitor, Dish Network, because it was right by my house. So I worked at a radio station and did that on the side part-time. And back then, I knew I couldn't tell them I had DirecTV, but I knew we didn't have Sunday ticket. But back then, like, let's say you called me and you're like, hey, I'm Dan, and I used to live in Chicago and I want the Bears games. I used to be able to, when I worked at Dish Network, I think this changed when W was president circa 05-06. I could pick where your local channels came from. So if you said, I live in Georgia now, but I used to be in Illinois, done. I'd put the Chicago channels on for you and be like, listen, you don't need Sunday ticket. I can get you the local affiliates. Just tell me where you want them. So I could give you the Chicago channels, even though you didn't live in Chicago when I worked for Dish, but that got changed around 05-06, and you had to take your local channels regardless. But at the time, that's how I kept customers. I was like, I can get you your local Fox, CBS, whatever channel they're going to be on. You're not going to need Sunday ticket. I can get you the Chicago channels. And I did, and I came through for people like that all the time, circa 2003, 4, 5, whatever it was.
That's interesting. I wonder if you can. So, for example, I log into a VPN for my job, which is in Colorado. It's based out of Colorado. And if I'm logged into that VPN, when I tried to go into YouTube to watch YouTube TV for the game, I thought
they might think you're in Colorado.
Well, they weren't airing the preseason games. I had to go to NFL Plus, but in order to use it, they were making me go through to re-verify my address being in Georgia instead of in Colorado. So I'm wondering if you could just change your VP, because everyone has a virtual private network on their they should on their modem or router that they can change it to. So I'm wondering if you change it to Chicago and then try to log into just a local Fox station if the game's playing on Fox that Sunday, if it would give it to you from that area, if you logged in with a Comcast account or something.
That's essentially what I was doing, what I was saying. So yeah, if there's some way to beat that system, it makes sense. I don't know if they have a way of repudiating that, but man, if you could fool them with I could see that working.
You probably can't fool them though. They probably have all that shit. It's probably all figured out by now, so that you can't fool the system like that.
The cool thing about NFL Plus, at the very least, is that you still get like the Amazon game and all that bullshit on because Amazon's getting a playoff game this year too, which is absurd. Like, why would you want to alienate your fan base? There are older people out there, not me, but they're like if my dad were alive today, my dad he'd be 72 in December. So if I told my dad, who's been dead 30 years now, but if he were still alive and I said, no, you can't watch it on TV, you got to log into your fucking streaming and do it here, he would say, the hell with it. I'm not watching that game. So I'm saying there's got to be a lot of people either live in a smaller area and don't have great internet. Again, not me. I've got decent internet. I'm not saying this to bitch, but they may not be able to watch that playoff game as a result of them forcing you to stream. I don't know why you would take your product at playoffs off of national television. I just don't understand what they're doing.
They're probably making more money off of the subscriptions to watch it than they are from the broadcasting. Well, because they're also getting broadcasting. So they're making twice as much money actually, because they're getting it twice. They're getting it from the advertisers and they're getting it from you. That's just bullshit.
Well, if you've got Plus, I think you can watch the Amazon games that way. But then maybe that's just the regular season. Maybe I would have to, if the Bears were playing on the Amazon playoff game, maybe I'll have to subscribe to fucking Prime for a month just to watch it. I don't know yet.
It's a crying shame. It's a crying shame. because there's gonna come a time where it's just gonna be just ridiculously overly expensive to watch a game for. It already is for most people. You know, how many people can? It's amazing to me that people would tune in to listen to Foster and I talk about the game live. Well, it makes sense because they're not paying. They don't want to pay for that. They want to pay the $400 or the $100 plus on top of that for NFL Plus. Oh, and NFL Plus, by the way, has been threatening to give you the games live for years, and I've never been able to get a live game. Not even a live. Well, the preseason game was live, but they've never streamed a live game. You have to wait 2 hours for the game to be over to watch it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that those complications, if you're a super diehard fan, and I think we both are, we'll find a way to get the game. But I think it hurts the average fan, the person that if it's convenient, they'll watch it. And that's bad for the game when you take the regular person out of it. You're going to have your diehards. We're always going to be there, regardless of what they do to us. It's like, I got to pay $4.50. I don't like it. Okay, I'll pay it. But there are people that won't be able to afford that or don't want to watch it on Amazon. Or it just feels like
internet.
Yeah, I feel like they're really like they could alienate their fan base in some ways. Another thing that they were talking about doing and did not follow through on at the time where they were campaigning to get Sunday Ticket, they being YouTube/Google, they intimated that they were going to do what the the NBA League Pass and Major League Baseball allow you to do now, which is to follow your one team at a discounted rate. Like if you don't want the $4.50, you can pay $1.50 and only get the Bears, for example.
That'd be fine with me.
They kept saying they were going to do that, and then that's not an option. They did not do that. You have to buy the whole package. So that's kind of greedy because they kept saying that, oh, that'll be a benefit of having it stream. You could just get one team, and then they didn't do it.
And talk about a fucking monopoly. What are you going to do?
You have to take it.
Watch XFL?
God, those leagues are horrible, those other leagues. So it's the NFL or bust, man. I mean, I like the NFL so much. Well, I'm more or less a Bears fan now, but last night, around 3 a.m., probably 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., I was watching old NFL games from 1970, their highlights from Pat Summerall's show This Week in Pro Football. I was watching those last night, just watching highlights of games that were played before I was born. That's how much I love football. So
I know, and I love the old NFL film stuff with the voice and
right,
and they use. I just love it. Both Sables, Steve and his dad, hearing just them is just, I don't know. It's sad that Steve is gone now too.
Yeah, Steve and Ed Sable and John Facenda, who the voice you're talking about, he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's Aldo and I've talked about this before. It's just like when I grew up, those highlights meant so much to me, and he agreed. Just Super Bowl highlights and things like that. Like I knew about the game and the product and the history before I was like even 10 years old. I knew that Joe Namath had guaranteed victory and all these things that happened before I was born. But today's like youth, I'm not trying to be like one of these get off my lawn motherfuckers, but like since the Sables died, the NFL films died with them. So nobody young gives a shit about what happened in Super Bowl 12. They don't give a fuck. I mean, it's a shame like what they're missing out on in my estimation.
I'm saying here, Kiyu Carito is saying, I asked Swifty, who literally works for Google, if he got discounts for YouTube TV, and he said he wished. So like they don't even give discounts to their employees. It's just ridiculous. Just money hungry. My goodness.
Well, I did see that somehow I have Verizon too, but they were giving away Sunday Ticket for free to Verizon subscribers, but I've already bought it, so I didn't even look into it. But I do have Verizon. I don't know what you have to do to take advantage of that offer.
Oh, wow. That would be nice. I would switch over to that for that.
Yeah, you should look that up. It's legit. I saw it like a week ago, like the advertisement for it. It's just, like I said, I've already bought it. Fuck it. It's just
Probably just
whatever.
get it that 1 year for free, and then the next year you pay $450 for it.
And still, it saves you money. But like I said, I've already the money's already come out of my account. I'm just give me the games, man. Okay,
Like,
whatever.
when Chris Watts was talking about how they didn't even allow him to pay for it in installments either.
Yeah, there's no installment. That's what I said that earlier. No installments at all. Now, DirecTV would give you 6 installments. Now, I don't know how Chris got to watch it, being that he's English. I'm not sure what how it was for him, but for us, we had installments before and we don't now.
Well, at least he doesn't have to get it in Spanish because he's English. We might pay more for that. Joe Treviso says Verizon new customers getting ticket for free. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, you have to be a new Verizon customer. Okay, so I've had Verizon for years too, so that wouldn't help me anyway.
Right. Cliff saying anytime you see a company based in Cali, you think, uh-oh, Cali companies, where'd it go? Cali companies soak everyone. It's true. They have to pay for all of the they have to pay for the helicopters that fly around recording people running from the police. My wife got stuck watching I don't know, a couple hours worth of a helicopter of a high-speed chase in California. The helicopter flying around,
Right.
The guy stole like 3 different vehicles. She's watching it like it's ants, She just needs like a magnifying glass to take the guy out for him, But yeah, guys. So we should probably actually get into kind of the heading of the show, which is Steel Sharpens Steel, because I'd like to know what you think about I know it's a preseason game. There's a lot of people that, there's fans like us who love to watch preseason for the value of what we're looking at in the players that are on the field. Who, what's our depth going to look like? How is the team building coming along? How are the new guys looking? Things like that. And then there's people that think, oh, it's just preseason. It does not matter. These are shit games. Take everything with a grain of salt. We can look at the 2 touchdown passes from Justin Fields as being screen passes or bubble screen or a dump off, whatever you want to call it. Some people even complained that the passes were a little bit behind him. Some people were in favor of the pass being behind DJ Moore because it actually stalled the play and caused it to open up a little bit more, which resulted in the touchdown. But the point that I think I'm trying to make here is those plays were because of the blocking, and the running game looked good because of the blocking. The defensive line looked a little bit suspect in the beginning of the game against the run, but that they kind of started to pick it up a little bit. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to be excited with those 2 lines moving forward, because last year they were both so atrocious. How do you feel about our line, both lines, after watching that first preseason game?
Well, I've been critical of Cody Whitehair a bunch and all of his bad snaps from his previous time as center. But I've got to be fair and say that he looked good on Saturday. Now, I would like to see Davis in there. I know he had a presser today kind of intimating that perhaps it wasn't up to him to come back, which is kind of confusing. But the line itself, they played well on Saturday, like you said, with that screen pass. Now, yeah, if I'm going to be negative, I will say that the throw that he always missed with Mooney was the same one he missed with DJ Moore. It was like you said, it was behind, but Moore made the play and then went through the house. I mean, so yeah, Fields has got to make that a easier toss, but the individual talent of DJ Moore made up for it. I'm not saying that Darnell Mooney can't, but he's a little bit above Darnell, I think, DJ Moore is. So my point is, before Justin had to be flawless for the Bears to succeed, and now he can make a shitty throw and his guy can still take it all the way to the house. That's positive for the Bears. That's positive. And one more thing, I don't want to hog off the mic time. One of the things that you said that really resonated with me there was, again, the same thing, whether it's like Hogue or Johns, they always bitch about having to cover games, whether it's like, it's just a preseason game. Like, no one wants to watch that shit. And I'm like, these dudes like have just unbelievable access, and they're just so fucking spoiled with it. Like, the average fan, again, does it matter in the big scheme of things? No one is really going to be thinking about, boy, I really wish I'd watched that Tennessee Titans Chicago Bears preseason game when it's like week 12. We're not going to be thinking about that unless somebody got hurt in it. But still, like, they act like, they've got to watch gay porn when they're watching preseason. And like, it's so arduous for them. It's just like, oh God, I got to be at the stadium. That makes me like want to like yell at them. I think you're on mute.
All right, I am on mute. Thank you.
Oh.
I was on mute. Thank you.
Okay.
You can see me laughing, but you can't hear me.
I couldn't hear you.
Guys, we have to get the chatter because it's blowing up. Let's see. A couple things I wanted to see here. Joe Treviso's birthday. Happy birthday, Joe Treviso.
John Travolta's birthday's today? I'm sorry.
No, but I did want to mention Demond 1599's awesome welcome back Cotter image there. I'll pull it up for you.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back Cotter image. That's pretty cool.
That show was on so long that in the end, like, Cotter wasn't even on the show. The character Cotter, and they were still doing it. It's kind of like Happy Days when like Richie and everyone's gone, but it's like Fonzie and Richie's parents are still there, and that's it.
After Fonzie jumped the shark?
Yeah, exactly.
Hair Bear, thanks for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you. Great to see you again. Dan and the other Dan. It's the other Dan tonight. You're the other Dan.
I'm the other Dan.
I should put the other Dan up there instead of Dan Aguirre for your image.
I gave myself, because you could like subtitle. No one even noticed it, because you always hear like, oh, he's bringing the big dick energy. So I put on mine, it says medium dick energy.
Medium dick.
I'm bringing the medium dick energy. I'm like, I'm okay.
Wait, I have to remove it. Oh wait, it's not there. Okay.
Well, it was there initially at the bottom. It's the medium dick energy.
I like what King Buka World saying. Hair Bear saying last year Fields couldn't hit those easy screen passes at all, so even hitting the guy's hands was improved.
Touche. He's got it. I agree.
And then King Book is saying last year, why is Justin not taking what the defense is giving him? Now it's why is he not throwing the ball downfield? I know, right? There's always going to be something.
I heard, I forget who it was. One of the linemen was being interviewed, and he said that they had called plays in practice for that screen a couple of times, and it never worked because the defense is there every day and they know it's coming. So it excited. I think it was Tevin Jenkins. He said that he was so happy that it worked because the D in practice was so stellar that it never worked, and it fucking worked twice against the Titans. So, yeah. So like I said, I'm happy. Like I did say at the time, I was like, oh, that was a bad throw. But again, you can make up for it now. Justin doesn't have to be perfect to win now. Again, we officially haven't won a game since the New England game last season. That was still preseason, but you have to think that's going to change this season soon. So,
Keo Carito is saying, by the way, I'm so glad Dalvin Cook is out of the NFC North. I knew he was gone, but it's nice for it to be official.
Yeah, he's a Jet now.
Looks like PJ and Foster are battling for controls in the background.
This Dalvin, I don't want to shit on him because I don't want it to come back and haunt me somehow. But Dalvin Cook's always hurt. I mean, always hurt. And he didn't even do that much damage to the Bears as a Viking because he's always fucking hurt. You want to try to get your bomb squad dream team in New York with the Jets? Have at it, man. I mean, he's not going to be a factor.
I don't know. Oliver Chapman, welcome to the chat. He's saying, I'm watching the game again. Baskerville has the green dot on his helmet. Was he calling the defense? That's a good question.
I had a friend in college named Curtis Baskerville. So I wish this Baskerville guy would make the team and be really good, and then I could get Curtis a Baskerville jersey. He's a Ravens fan. He grew up in Baltimore. But like, you have to wear the Bears Baskerville jersey. He's the only other person I've ever met with the name Baskerville.
Would he wear it?
I don't know. He's still my Facebook friend, but I haven't talked to him since in real life since, again, Clinton was president. So I don't know.
King Book is saying Jets are trying to reassemble the Avengers for Rodgers. That's funny. Kyo Kurita says, I will say that the first defensive drive against the Titans worries me just a tiny bit. I mean, it was the first drive, though, right? It's preseason, first drive. You got to get the jitters out.
I have a confession to make on that. I didn't see it. I woke up now I was supposed to work that day, and I took a paid day off, so I wouldn't have been able to watch it live at all. But I didn't get out of bed till like 1:05 Eastern time, and then I took a leak and fed my cat. But as soon as I sat down, it was 7-0 Tennessee. Like, I missed that whole first drive. So I know they gave up a score, and I know Kyler Gordon had a couple of good hits. So I know the gist of it, but maybe I'll watch it again tonight when I get home. I didn't see that first drive at all.
I'm waiting for the L22 to come out so I can put it on the channel for people to watch. Because there's a lot of people that were watching the game with us on the game stream they couldn't watch the game. They were getting the stream from us. So as soon as that comes out, I'll be putting that out on the channel for you guys to watch the All-22 of every game this year. So just so you can have it for your own enjoyment. And
how about the 8 sacks though?
That was
8
impressive.
Sacks. Wow. It feels like the Bears had like 7 sacks all of last season as a team.
I know.
And they have 8, and I know it's a preseason game, but holy shit, that was and 99 says, fuck you, put me at the bottom of the rotation and say I'm not making the team. He's coming out. Damn, Gibson looked great. I mean, looked great. If he could continue that, then that's what we want,
Look like he was playing for a job.
Conversely, and I don't want to be negative, but goddamn, Velus Jones had, I think, officially 5 punt returns last season, fumbled 2 of them, cost us games in both of them, and nearly fumbled on every other one. Like, so it was like he bobbled all 5 of his punt returns last season, and then the first one in the man, that guy's got to go. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe I should be buying redemption more and want him to come back and play great against who they got Saturday? The Colts. Like, yes, I should want him to be great. I don't even want him to get another chance. Like, I don't want him week 1 fumbling and stumbling and costing us a game. I just don't.
Mm-mm. I don't see him making the team.
I hope not, man. I mean, even if you just have to put Pettis there to say, okay, for God's sakes, we know you can't take it all the way, but just don't fumble.
What's up, Raging Oracle? Thanks for joining us tonight. Great to see you again. Tin Pan Dog says it was great to see a win, warts and all. Looking forward to seeing how the practices against Indy goes and then the improvements in the next game. I think that's a great segue to bring Foster and PJ onto the show, just to kind of wrap the end of the show up with all of us here, because I haven't really, other than watching the game with Foster, I haven't really seen what PJ has to say. So let's bring those guys in here. What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Sounds like somebody's in a car with their window down. What's up, PJ?
What's happening with you guys? What's up there, Dan Aguirre?
Nice to talk with you again, sir.
He said, sir. Man.
Sir. Wow.
Oh, man, I guess I am getting old.
Foster said, fuck this. I'm just getting up and getting a Foster's beer.
Or we went to go close the window.
Yeah, Foster doesn't drink.
Oh, he just smokes then.
Yeah. Like a chimney. Yeah.
I was watching. Go ahead.
I don't think it's hard to remember the last time I've seen Foster on the screen without a cigarette in his hand.
I watched an old Monday night game randomly earlier this summer from 71. It was the Giants in Dallas. And again, I was just bored. Why am I watching? I don't know. But the Giants coach was smoking on the sidelines. I was like, God, it's a different world. I know that's 50 years ago, but motherfucker was smoking on the sidelines. That's Foster.
You're muted, Foster.
We would smoke during calisthenics, believe it or not. Guys,
Smoking
we have
court.
them hanging out of our mouths in practice, man.
Jeez.
Different world.
I have pictures of my mom in the hospital after giving birth to me, and there's an ashtray with a cigarette in it. That's lit. She's holding on to me with an ashtray that's lit.
You could smoke anywhere back in the day. Anywhere you went.
Uh-huh. Raging Oracle says gets 2 more shots at Jones gets 2 more shots at kick returner, punt returner. If he doesn't work on the punt kick return team, then we give him a wide receiver op before they let him go. I just say take him off of punt return altogether with.
Yes.
I would think you guys would have to help him get over the yips or whatever he has and give him a shot in preseason to actually keep on trying it, work through that mental block he's having, because you might need him. So working through for the preseason, and after the end of the preseason, you look at it like he has a total of 15 punt returns, and out of the 15, he bobbled 3 or more. Okay, yeah, then you do something with him. But right now, I wouldn't, because I'm trying to build up his confidence in the preseason. I would.
Right now, I'm saying Tyler Scott, it's your turn, bro.
I don't know. Tyler Scott kind of disappointed me in that game. I don't know what you think there, Dan, but he kind of disappointed me.
He had
a fumble, right?
Fumble?
Yeah, he's got just as much speed as Velus, though. It's like,
yeah, but
Velus, I mean, we got your replacement right here, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
but Velus is thicker. I mean, he seems like he's more muscular and bigger than what Tyler is. So that's what I'm saying. I'm scared. I'm scared for Tyler being on punt returns, that he might get hit really good and get hurt.
We could always put Pettis there then.
That's
the one thing he does well is he catches the ball. He doesn't go anywhere with it, but he's going to catch it and he's not going to fumble.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, give Velus a chance to work it out, though. I mean, I'm a firm believer. I'll give him a chance to work it out. I would give him a chance to work it out.
Don't you think that once you get that jitter in you, I mean, this is the NFL. Live bullets are flying. When you are trying to focus on this ball that's spinning in odd direction coming at you, and you have to try to land this while you are just feeling everything and clothes around you. If you just don't have that in you, I think you would know it by now.
Yeah.
Well, I think what he did on Saturday, he's trying too hard. I mean, he's trying to make up for what he did last year, so he should never try to catch that ball after that bounce anyway. But because he's trying so hard, that's why he now makes that mistake. That's why I'm like, look, man, you ain't got to try to prove nothing like that. Catch it when it's available. It's not, just get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Have that conversation.
It scares me, though, PJ. Like, week 1's Green Bay. I mean,
right.
A play like that, a fumbled punt return. He lost 2 games for us last year. I mean, like, don't cost us the Packers game. Like, maybe he's better. Like, remember a couple years ago, that's the guy's name? It was in Minnesota. He's in Atlanta now. Had all those good returns for us and left.
Patterson. Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson. Patterson doesn't return punts. He says he can't do it. All of his returns are kick returns. Maybe Velus is of that vein that like he's a kick returner.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I would use a preseason to find out. That's what I'm saying. I would not give up on him until I know without a question that, okay, this guy is not a punt returner. We're not going to use him there. Just after one game of preseason, that's what I'm saying. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Now, like I said, if he gives us 10, give 15, and out of the 15, he got like 20% drop rate. Okay, yeah, put somebody else back there.
King Book is saying Velas needs a good old fashioned Iron Sheik curse out. Man, we need chic baby now. Sheiky baby now.
Get on him, Dan. You can curse him out.
The
I could.
Sheik passed away, unfortunately.
No, it reminds me of is the movie with what's the movie with the erratic pitcher who had like the cannon for it was a comedy.
You're talking about Major League with Charlie Sheen as
Charlie
Wild
Sheen,
Thing?
yeah. Where the one dude,
the voodoo guy.
Yeah, the voodoo guy, yeah.
Giambu.
He's the same guy who's the voice for Allstate, right?
Oh, that's what that is?
That's
Is that
him.
him?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's him, man.
Oh my God, that is.
A younger version. But
And
that's
when he
him.
said "fuck you, Joe Boo," that's when he hit the home run.
Yeah, I do it myself.
Pedro Serrano, wasn't his name?
Yep.
Something like that.
That's
Yeah,
it.
That's my favorite baseball movie ever, man. Like everyone says Field of Dreams, like the first Major League is great to me. Like none of those sequels. The first one's great.
I'm a Field of Dreams guy myself.
Yeah,
I am. That pulled at my heartstrings there. If you build it, they will come.
Tooch was on that field recently. John Santucci ran the bases there.
Oh wow! Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Put up that video.
It's in Iowa.
I have an idea for his punt return abilities, guys. You have how like curses work is you have to have like an article of like a possession of the person that you're putting the curse on. So let's just say we gave like Devin Hester like a shred of one of Velas Schoen's jerseys or I don't know, an old sock from a game or something. And then Devin Hester, instead of putting a curse on it, he can put the opposite on it and give him like a blessing to like be able to return punts. And then hold like a little locker room ceremony. And then Velas Jones will go out and be an excellent punt returner.
Absolutely not. But I will go with this idea though. How about just giving him number 23? Velas Jones.
There you go.
What's Tariq Cohen doing now? Are you back, bro? Maybe we could use you. He was kind of returning punts.
What about Tristan Edmond?
There's 5 or 6 guys on this team that are experienced punt returners. Well, probably 4 or 5 now if you minus Velas.
Did Tristan Ebner do any punt returning in Baylor? Was it Baylor, right?
Yeah, he went to Baylor. I
know he went to. I know he done some kickoffs. I don't know if the punt returns.
Punt return is way harder, man.
It is.
STC's
way harder with that.
STC is asking if anybody else wants Tyson Badgett to replace PJ Walker.
I'm not a big fan of either of them.
I will say that PJ, not you, sir, but PJ Walker, PJ Walker did some good things with Carolina last year, and it was like week 16 or 17. The Panthers are still on the board in the quote in the hunt, and that was all because of PJ Walker. But everything I've heard and read in camp this year is he's overthrowing everybody. And then the first pass he had in the preseason, overthrow, interception. So I don't know what's going on with PJ, but when they signed him, I liked it because at least his makeup and his body type and his style, like it's not like they're going from Fields to Dalton, where it's just like the offense has to be completely changed when he comes in. Like PJ Walker isn't so, I mean, he's not as good as Fields, but if he has to play and can get the ball down, I mean, it's not like they have to call a completely different offense if PJ Walker comes in, is my point. And he's had some success. I don't know anything about the Badgett guy. I do know where that college is. It's small as shit. Well, it used to be called college. They call it university now. Where he played at, it's called Shepherdstown here in West Virginia. It's so small. It's like a borderline Adam Shaheen small. Remember, like he played like Ashland College. That's the kind of competition that guy came from, man. Like that small. Like so, yeah. He's a practice squad guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was hoping. Now he's out the league, but I was hoping. I think Deshaun Kaiser would have been probably a good backup in this system. The Fields. I thought he would have been a good backup.
Where is he even at now?
He's out of football altogether. He's
Oh
done.
my God, really?
He was
Yeah,
terrible in Green Bay, so don't bring us that juju. Let him stay in retirement wherever he's at.
Yeah.
Let him
And then I
be.
was,
Let him be.
but then I was like the quarterback from UCLA. He's with Cleveland though. DTR Dorian Thompson Robinson. Was it?
Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's in Cleveland. But also Cleveland also has Mond there, Kellen Mond. So I'm scouring the quarterbacks that's going to be released in that scenario because, yeah, I'm not a fan of PJ Walker. I'm not a fan of any of the quarterbacks behind Fields that we have. So I would be definitely looking for someone else.
J2K saying be patient with PJ. New offense. He'll settle down.
I kind of feel that way too. I really do. He did some good things with the Panthers, and it's not like we're talking 5 years ago. I mean, it was just last year. I think for a backup, I think he's good for a backup. I really do. I say that respectfully, of course. I mean, you could be right, and I just look like, no, you got your guy Walker started today, and he was terrible, but I think he'll be okay. And for what he is, like our third stringer isn't. I mean.
Yeah.
I thought he was terrible in Buffalo. I mean, I thought he was horrible in Buffalo. But every time he has had to play for the Bears, and granted, late last season when we were horrible, he's done okay for a third stringer, is what I'm saying. I think
Well, I'll see you guys what.
top three are okay.
Seeing as we got to name PJ, I'll give him a chance.
J2K saying EQ stopped his route on the interception. It was right. You're getting pulled from the show, PJ.
No, it wasn't me. He's talking about the other PJ.
Right,
Oh,
but there's only so many PJ comments allowed in the show.
From so many PJs.
Yes. It's a good thing Walker's not here. 2 people would go.
J2K is just saying that EQ stopped his route on that interception. It was right. It was the right read and the right throw. Good point. Yeah.
I agree with Dan Aguirre that we should at least give the guy a chance. Yeah, give him a chance. Let's give him a chance.
And I'm saying because he has performed in the league before. And again, was he all world? Was he a Pro Bowl? No, but he did some good things and won some games in Carolina.
True.
And again, DJ Moore knows him and has some success with him. But the same argument that I'm making for him is the reason that I'm over Valus, man. He's had no success. He had one big catch late last season on offense. I give him all the praise in the world. It was a nice catch. I think it was against Buffalo or maybe Philly. But damn, how many times can this guy punt before we're like, all right, we've seen enough. I've seen enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, Bearsky is saying interested in seeing a video or two I just made, each under 2 minutes, 8 sacks by defense, and Travis Gibson video link.
Travis Gibson.
Travis
Right?
Gibson. Sorry.
Yeah, Travis Gibson. No, you read it right. I'm just correcting. Bearsky. Bearsky's the man.
Gibson looked really good.
I appreciate your films, Bearsky.
Yeah, we can play a video of yours for sure, Bearsky. I have to send you a link for that, right? I believe so.
I'm sorry, Dan Aguirre. I didn't get you probably said it earlier, but what was your overall thoughts on the game overall?
Overall, my thesis thus far, we didn't talk a lot about the game. The 8 sacks was just wow. I don't think, and I facetiously said I don't think the Bears had but 7 all of last season. So that was good to see pressure coming, and they weren't even blitzing, and they were still getting there. That was amazing. And to see Fields, again, another bad throw on that screen. But normally, if he makes a bad throw, we don't succeed. We don't win. So I was saying if he can throw a ball that clearly is behind the line and should have been out in front of him, but it still results in a touchdown, that is – an indication that he doesn't have to be Superman anymore. He's got talent around him, can make up for when he isn't perfect.
Right.
And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing to be because he doesn't, that's a lot of pressure on a guy who's born in 1999, and we're telling you, like, hey, bro, you have to be perfect at all times for this team to win. And I know they say, well, he's 5-20 as a quarterback. That's a lot of pressure on somebody that's just coming into the league. And now he's got people around him that says, go out there and play. Let's have fun, man, and let's win. Like, you don't have to – it doesn't have to be all you. I think that's a good thing. That's my biggest takeaway is that Justin doesn't have to be perfect, and we can still succeed.
True. I give him a little bit more leeway on those passes like that because I'm sure you're aware of this, but on those type of screenplays, they don't teach them to look for the seams or the things in the ball, so where you just got to grab the ball and throw it. So a lot of those passes are normally inaccurate anyway.
Well, he misses them a lot. They tried that play with Mooney seemingly twice a game, and it never worked. I'm like, God, not the bubble screen again. It never works. But fuck, that one went to the house on his first catch as a Bear. Like that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was great.
I mean, for it not to be on the, when you don't have your hand on the laces, that's what it is. You normally quarterbacks throw the ball on the laces, but on those screens, you just get the ball and just throw it without feeling for the laces. And so I tend to give them a little bit more leeway on those. But yeah, even in spite of, still was able to get a touchdown. So
yeah,
but I think I heard you say earlier that the offensive lineman did get down the field kind of early.
Oh, that was on the second one, right?
Yeah,
the Herbert touchdown.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, yeah, that was kind of bad.
Raging Oracle said Gibson forced them to double him. That's what we were looking for. Someone has to force that to happen. I thought Billings looked very average.
Agreed.
I didn't even notice Billings, honestly. I didn't even know he was active that day. I guess that's an indictment on, Billings or me for not realizing he's out there.
Well,
How many plays did he play? Billings.
Who? Billings? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I think he played two
I
series.
didn't see him in there too long. I don't think when we were playing that. We did
I
the
think
last
he played two series because I've seen him on that one where they do. How they do that one lineup where they like kind of got their body turned kind of sideways over the center,
offset.
Yeah. Look, and I seen two people just watch him out to play, and I was like, whoa, you might not want to try to line up like that no more. But yeah, I seen him out there. I think for like two series.
That might have been the intention, though. They just took out two guys. I don't know the way they're playing. They weren't out. They weren't out. Like the good thing was they ended up getting some cohesion with the guys that kept going in and out. But I don't think the main guys were out there that long, man. They had the younger guys stay and play longer.
And I was seeing Gakwe wasn't playing. And
that was
Gakwe
I was going to point
out.
That's exactly Dan Aguirre. The fact that we got 8 sacks and no Ngakwe played. So good point. Very good point.
It's a great point. Yes.
I wonder if he'll play Saturday. You would like to think that you want him to at least play a couple downs before opening day.
Yeah, you would hope so.
Because he's probably not going to play the last game, because the last game now is the one where usually it's the gentleman, like it's going to be Vildor out there starting in the third game, because it looks like he's inevitably going to get cut now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raging Oracle saying number 52 got a sack due to them doubling Gibson. He got to one-on-one with no help.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mo Bimron saying, I thought the Titans were moving the ball a little too easy early in that game.
Absolutely. They were. Scared me a little bit.
I was disappointed in what's his name? Is it Green? The free agent number 94 we picked up this year?
Green.
Yeah, he didn't show me anything. He didn't show me anything. I was disappointed in him. So I'm hoping that Gibson passed him up on the depth chart. But yeah, I was disappointed in him at all. Like that was useless.
Travis Bell looked pretty good for the few plays he was in there.
Yeah, he got a big sack at the end.
I did want to welcome somebody real quick, and I think you did already, Shorty, that I haven't seen in the chat before. You guys tell me, I don't know. Brendan Daly, and his comment was, I hope Tyler Scott is not the second coming of Velas. Speedy guy with iffy ball security. Welcome to the show, man.
Welcome to the show, Brendan.
My response to that And again, I come on here and I tell you, gentlemen, I'm just a fan. I'm no expert. But one guy I do believe in that would know what he's saying on this is Randy Moss. Moss said that the Bears got a steal with Tyler Scott. He was one of the best wide receivers in the draft in his perspective from his seat. So
Right.
like to me, like no one's saying Velus Jones is misunderstood and not, oh, he's great. But like Randy Moss is coming out there saying that Tyler Scott's the bomb, man. So fuck, Randy Moss is saying it doesn't mean it's going to work out, but makes me feel more confident in him. Like I said, who's advocating for Velus Jones and saying that he's good? Nobody.
Well,
Bears
Dan, don't you think that Scott has, from what you've seen, because I've seen some film and heard reports, everything's been pretty positive about Scott until the fumble the other day after a decent catch.
Yeah.
I saw Greg Bragg said he was
stuck his. I mean, you got to see the play. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to add to what you were saying. Greg Braggs was saying that, and again, Braggs has been to practices. I'm not saying he's not accurate here. I'm not trying to disagree with him. Braggs said that Scott has dropped a lot of balls in practice at camp. Now, again, that's just from his perspective. Does it mean what's going to happen opening day? No, but I guess that's the only negative I've heard in addition to that fumble. But it looked like that was a bad pass that he caught too, and it was sort of unorthodox. So it was just like the whole rhythm was out of whack on that play. I'm not going to give him a pass, but kind of, I think.
Now, I agree with Greg Braggs for the most, but at first, you was hearing great things about Tyler Scott in camp. It wasn't until like the last week or so that you've been hearing more about these drops. So I think once the pads came on, his drops increased, because before the pads were on, it seemed like you were hearing that he was making a lot of plays. That's what I seem to remember.
Good point about the pads for sure.
Yeah.
We have a Travis Gibson video coming up here in a second by Bearski Film from chat. He's got an excellent channel over there, making great videos. Personally, I love the music just as much. Before that, J2K saying, hot take, Gibson won on multiple different techniques versus the offensive tackle. Lewis won versus the offensive tackle with the same outside rush. Lewis might be fool's gold. Gibson is the real deal.
I'm a big fan of Gibson.
Yeah,
I told you, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Gibson.
I think we all have been. Even when Jay the other night was kind of saying to let him go, just another year. Nick, I don't know if you guys remember, he said the other night, none of us said anything because we've been on his bandwagon. I think I'm the same way, man. Look at what he did.
Yes.
We know what he was capable of. We saw it.
Agreed.
It's just a matter of getting in there. And again, I'll bring it up. And Swifty stated it, other people have stated, the fifth most double team defensive end in the entire NFL. I mean, Bosa and these guys weren't even getting double teamed, because if you stop Gibson, there was nothing else last year really to threaten the offensive scheme.
And that's what was,
and he was just handcuffed.
One thing that
75% of the time.
I haven't been a super fan of Gibson.
Yeah.
But my point is to add to you all's point. I don't remember where I read this, and I would want to give attribution. This is not something I knew. I read this from someone else. For all I know, it could have been Hogue. I don't know. But evidently last season, when he was struggling so badly in terms of getting sacks, that he was going to the coaches and was like, dude, I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. Like, what am I doing wrong? Is my technique wrong? Like, he really was conscientious and was watching all kinds of film, and they were saying, your technique is on point. Like, you're doing everything we're asking you to do. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. You're on a shitty team. Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like, it's not like they were saying like his form was off. His mechanics were off. It just wasn't. He wasn't getting rewarded for his effort, but he was cognizant of it and was really trying on a bad team. So he deserves a lot of praise for that.
And you guys, you and Aldo had a really good discussion. You were saying exactly the same thing. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, but you guys got into that topic pretty good. I don't know if you remember the conversation.
Not that one specifically, but I appreciate you acknowledging it. But yeah, Gibson, like, if the effort's there, that's all you can ask for, right? I mean, you want success, but if the guy's giving you all he's got, I mean, at least that it's not like we're hearing that he's lazy or something.
Right.
Or,
Right. I'm a firm believer that, and I said this last week on our show last week, is I think he's more of a Robin to Ndakwe's Batman this year. So because of that, I think he's gonna be playing second fiddle to him. And I think he's gonna do well in that role. When he's in the role of playing Batman, we'll see what happened last year. But when he was Robin with Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack, he had his second sack. So I think his best role is being that Robin. So I think he'll do well this year. I really do.
I would like to, with regards to Ngakoue, everyone just thinks it's like a foregone conclusion that it's a 1 year and done, and maybe it will be ultimately. But if I'm the Bears, like this guy's agent has said, like this guy wants to settle down. He wants a home and wants a multi-year deal more than anything. He's tired of moving around teams. If this guy can give you something and is as successful as we hope he will be, and he's still in it like 28, 29, why not sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal if he plays well enough? And then you draft somebody else on the line, and that's his replacement ultimately.
If he goes and gives you 8.5 sacks again, no reason not to sign him.
Right, because he'll take less money to get a multi-year deal. He wants to stay in one town. He's made that perfectly clear.
How much you think? What's your guess on how much he's looking for on a multi-year deal per year?
Man, I could be wrong, and someone else could break the bank on him, but I don't believe that'll be the case because evidence that he was still available the second week of camp or whatever. I would think what is he getting this season? What is it? 1 year, 10.5?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you gave him like 3 years, or maybe you don't want to give him 3 years, but like 2 years, 25 million, like 12 and a half. I mean, like he wouldn't take a raise and get a 2 year deal. I bet he would.
Yeah, I was under your assumption. I could be way off, but I thought he was looking for money like $18 million a year or something like that. So I mean,
what is the holdup? You could be right. I don't know.
I mean, I have nothing to base it on, but when I seen him sign him for 10 and a half, I'm wondering in my head, well, how much can you get him for, like you said, 3 years?
What did he make last year? Do you know? Wasn't it like 15.5?
Oh, I didn't know what he made last year.
That's the thing to look at, and I could be wrong, but I heard it was
probably
more
going to want something like that.
I heard it was more than he's making this year. So he took less money, and he came down to what polls probably gave him a little more than they were looking to, because they know after looking at search in the last 10 weeks, they know what's out there, and it was either him or Houston, and probably he's been in the system for 2 seasons, I believe, actually, from what I heard.
And let me just say
2
this:
seasons.
I am glad we
he's
got
familiar
him.
with the system. You pretty much know what you're going to get. The guy's always working out. I was trying to find some stuff on him, negative or whatever, and all I've been able to find is you see him working out on the beach, you see him working out in the gym, you see him working out with some high school kids. I mean, that's what I've come up with him. And then let's take 7 or 8 sacks a year and 1 or 2 forced fumbles a year. That's going to win a game somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's get to BearsCountry's
video highlight.
Yeah, let's take down that chat here so we can get to that. See if we might have to pull Dan's. Yeah, we do. So this is courtesy of BearsCountry Films, hanging out with us in chat tonight. Travis Gibson playing this past weekend. He's got the size, guys. He's got the perfect body for it, man.
As long as he doesn't pull a Quinn and do it every other year.
Yeah, look at that. I mean,
he wants that roster spot. It's evident.
I'm just so glad that Muhammad guy is gone and Matt. Those 2 guys didn't give us anything last season.
Can't get them all, man.
I mean,
make a mistake. Look at that.
He could end up being that, Richard Dent type player that we got late and, turned into something. Not saying as great as Dent, but
I'd be happy to have that Travis Gibson from 2 years ago.
if he plays like this all season,
Right?
yeah.
Hey, one more thing. Far be it for me to make weight jokes at anybody, and I'm not trying to go that way, but Jim Miller on the preseason game looked just like Tony Siragusa to me. The old defensive lineman who's passed away that won a ring with the Ravens and was on Fox for so many years.
Oh yeah.
Jim Miller looks like Tony Siragusa now. I mean, I'm not trying to mock him. That's what I saw though.
Who looks like him?
Jim Miller, who was doing the Bears broadcast, former quarterback Jim Miller, looked like Tony Siragusa.
He's put on some weight, hasn't he?
He looked like a former defensive lineman and not a former quarterback. And again, I'm not making fun of anybody's weight, but I was just shocked how much he looked like Siragusa to me.
But let me give a shout out real quick to BearsCountry. That was a great film, man. I appreciate that. I enjoyed watching that, man. I want to check out your channel, man. That's really nice right there.
Thank you, BearsCountry. Appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys check out BearsCountry Films on YouTube. Excellent channel.
That's Paul, guys, and he actually called me when we were on air, and I was like, dude, I'm actually doing a show. Why don't you hop on? He's like, you think you guys want to see a video? I'm like, absolutely, put it out there. So he's good. He's a good friend. Lives close to me, dude. I've been to the gentleman's house.
Let's see what's
great film.
Here's his other. Here's his
Check
second
his stuff out. He was doing some. Sorry, Dan. He was doing some real good stuff with some kids down at.
Giving away
a couple
T-shirts.
kids that couldn't afford jerseys, and he got shirts. So he gave him a couple shirts, man. So he's a good man.
Good guy.
Family guy. Got a kid.
I like the way he cut it up too, man. That was good. That was real good, BearsCountry.
What's the second one we're watching here, BearsCountry?
Good guy, and he's got a very unbelievable story.
Gotta get rid of this. So this.
Look at him lay out. He just launches in order to close home and bring home this sack.
So this is just defense, right? All 8 sacks. Thank you. I like that. All 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Nice. They were living in the backfield the whole game. It seemed like at least half the game.
Now, I don't know how they going about counting these, but I'm counting 2 sacks for Gibson.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm counting 2.
Let's see.
I know I count 2 for Lewis. See, that's the one for Lewis, and then the one was a strip sack was the other one for Lewis.
Right. Was the first one was Javon Dexter, right? Or was it wasn't Zach Pickens, right?
The first one was Pickens.
It was Zach Pickens, okay.
Can we rewind that if you guys don't mind? I mean, I'm not trying to, take over the show. But...
No,
okay,
we didn't see the one from the big man at the end, though.
Yeah, that was the last one they showed.
Oh, I didn't notice the one from the big man.
Yeah, that was Todd Bell.
Yeah,
not Todd Bell. Todd Bell's
Travis.
Todd Bell.
Yeah. Todd Bell's with the Bears in the '80s, and he's passed away.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
See, that's a sack right there. Okay. Now, see, this is one from Gibson right here. This is one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But he already had one earlier in the game, so that was his second one.
No, that's the first one since we shown it. Now, isn't that the second one right there, or is that not a sack? Not the.
I don't know if he was past the line of scrimmage or not, though. I'm not sure where.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Lewis.
It could have been like a tackle for no gain or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, just showing. There's just different
I
angles.
got a feeling that's exactly what it was, Dan. A no gain. Because we did the play-by-play. I was doing some of it.
Right.
Yeah, that was nice. I loved that Zach Pickens sack too. Just mauled him.
But if you look at
This
on
is
the
the
other
one-
sacks, look around.
this is the-
Gibson's close every time, man.
Now, who got that? Well,
Here's Bell.
here's
Yeah.
Bell right there.
Look at this. Look at the mass
Love
on
that.
Bell.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that Zach Pickens sack because that was
That's
just
the very first one,
Yeah, right there.
right there.
look at that.
Yep.
How
Only
quickly he got through that
That's
line.
nice. Well, that was a stunt. That was a stunt
Oh,
with
yeah,
Robinson.
stunt,
You
yeah.
caught that, right? Yeah.
Only thing I worry about is, with that new rule, you can't play in with
He
your
actually
body
pushed
weight.
them through him. Sorry, Pete.
When you can't play with your body weight on the quarterback, they'll call pass interference or unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, so
The Aaron Rodgers rule from against Minnesota a few years ago.
I could watch that play over and over again. Ah, that's my kind of sack right there. That's a sack I like to see.
I'll make Michael.
Oh man, dude, thank you so much, Bearsky.
Thanks,
That's-
Paulie.
There it says medium dick energy. I told you.
medium dick energy. There's so many different angles I have to make for that. So that would be I haven't done that one yet. So that's for when we have chat comments up.
Stop it.
yeah, that was impressive. Yeah, I mean, he looked really good. I mean, granted, I know he was playing against a lot of backups, but just his energy and his relentlessness. That's what I was really impressed with.
And
Don
not
Robb-
to change the subject, but it was good to see Santos making his kicks.
True.
Yes.
And it was going straight down the middle.
Yeah, he can't be missing extra points this year. I mean, like if he starts missing extra points and costing us games, they got to bring Robbie back, man. I mean, for real.
Agreed.
AC Adam, what's up? Bear down. Thanks for joining us tonight. I love seeing Kiyu Carito in here. We had a lot of fun with Kiyu during the draft. It's great to see you back in chat joining us tonight, man. Seriously.
We got 39 people watching.
I
Appreciate
disagree
all-
with what Cliff just said. To me, the division is wide open. And even if you're like, let's just say the Bears end up being something like, 9 wins and 8 losses. If you win your division, you're in the playoffs. And
True.
like, I guess Detroit should be the favorite now, given how they finished last season. You don't know what you're going to get from Jordan Love. And every year, Kirk Cousins has good stats, and they don't amount to anything. Like, hell, they won 13 games last year and got smoked in their first playoff game. If you told me Minnesota, they can't win 13 games again this year with everything went their way last year.
Yeah.
So I think Minnesota takes a step back. Green Bay could take a large step back, but maybe surprise us. And Detroit's still Detroit. Can they do it? My point is the division is really there. So if you're in play for the division, you're in play for the postseason.
True.
Yes.
I agree.
There's an
I
extra game in the season. There's an extra playoff game now. The Bears' odds of going from worst to first are 2-1. It's the best odds in the league. They can definitely. J2K saying, I expect the playoffs. Yes, people.
I don't think that Ryan
Yeah.
Poles would have signed Ngakoue if he thought that the Bears weren't going to the playoffs.
They're going to win the
Agreed.
division, man.
Exactly. That
They're gonna
was.
win the division, guys.
We were talking about it as it happened. We were talking about it, I think, before that. I think one of the questions in the show was because while we were doing that show, they signed Yannick. So it like broke live so then it became the rest of the show. But I think before that,
But
One of
we're
the questions
talking
that-
with Lester Wilfong.
yeah, somebody asked, or one of us posed about, wouldn't they want to go? Because I think it was on the Chase Young discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they want to? Because I was like, well, you finally may be making me see your point on this, PJ. Right now is the time to win because we're on a rookie quarterback contract.
Yes, sir.
There's not much time. So once this guy's making $18 billion a year, that's going to hamper our team back to a pile of shit. unless everything is done perfectly, we can trade players and get draft, a lot of draft picks back for players that we develop if we can draft correctly. Assuming that if we can sustain that. So the question was, maybe you would want to make a trade for a Chase Young if he's getting healthier and you can play, and go all in now on that rookie quarterback contract.
Agreed.
And then boom, during the show they signed Yannick. So I think that kind of set all of it right there.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind they're going to pick up, more than likely they're going to pick up Fields' fifth-year option. So by definition, even if they didn't give him this mega contract, they have control of him for 3 more seasons, including this one being one of those 3. He's only played 2 years, so they can have him for 5 years and then franchise him if they. Or you don't want it to come down to that. You want him to be loved and want him to be here. But I'm just saying, in theory, they could control him for 3 or 4 more years and not have to pay him a paramount, the way Seattle did with Russell Wilson early on. They don't have to give him the massive deal yet.
Right.
So that was my point.
Agreed. I think the way the contracts are going, though, they try to lock him up early, although they don't have to pay him till 2 more years from now. But you lock him up early enough to where you're getting it at a discounted rate, as opposed to him hitting that market 2 years from now, where they probably be making $70 million a year at the way things are going. It's just, I can't stand quarterbacks contracts. Hate them. I ain't gonna lie.
It's ridiculous.
And guys, another thing, if God forbid that we're wrong on Fields, because I think we're all Fields people, supporters, right? If for some reason we're wrong and he just comes out and he plays badly, Pauls has got that card to play from Carolina's draft pick. If they need to draft another quarterback, they can.
True.
From an organizational standpoint, this is pretty good. I mean, if for some reason Fields comes out and looks like Cade McNown in 2000, when you thought, because again, Cade did okay his rookie year. So you thought he's going to take a step, and then if he just shits the bed, they still have the organizational draft pick to go out and get another quarterback, or even trade up, because they've got 2 first-round picks if they need to. So that's a good spot to be in.
I posed this question a show or 2 ago, Dan. If Fields had the same record, or everything the same statistically this next year, the same rushing yards, the same passing yards, let's just assume it's all the same for this sake of argument, and Carolina has the first pick in the draft, what would you do?
Well, with regards to record, let me just say his 5-15 isn't fair, because he had Matt Nagy the first year. Matt Nagy has no idea what he's doing. No clue. He's lost. I mean, any quarterback on that team, especially when he's wanting to play Dalton and can't, like the game Aldo and I went to his first start in Cleveland, he was calling the offense as if Dalton was the player, not even cognizant of Fields' abilities.
Right.
He had no idea what he's doing. So that first year, he deserves a complete pass. And then last year, he's on a team that was trying to lose from a management. We referenced Major League. Remember in Major League, they wanted the Indians to lose so they can move the team. I mean, not saying the Bears are trying to move as a result of that, but they wanted to lose. They wanted to fucking lose. That's blatantly obvious. Mm-hmm. So his record, to me, he deserves a complete pass on. But let's just say he doesn't take the step as a quarterback, and for some reason they have a bad year. I mean, look, I'm a supporter. I don't even want to contemplate that. I don't think that's possible. But if it is, then maybe you do take that pick. At the very least, the same thing what you did with Gibson. Like, you put a fire in under his ass saying, okay, you have to get better in your 4th year because we got this kid waiting in the wings. The way they did Jordan Love in Green Bay. What they drafted him, and then Rodgers won 2 MVPs as soon as they did.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that Fields is Rodgers, but look, I'm all in on Fields. I don't want anybody to take me wrong.
Allow me to add one more piece to this equation, just to because I'm the great pontificator. I love to pontificate. So I'm seeing that previous. What was that previous chat, Foster? I was going to pontificate on that. No tanking this year, Joe Treviso says. So let's just say that the Bears end up getting those extra 5 or 6 wins that they should have had last year that they were robbed of.
Right.
And they actually win 9 games this year, but Justin Fields has the exact same year.
I'm
In
trading
terms
the
of
first pick
he's just
now.
running everywhere and can't be stopped.
Yeah,
but
he
his
breaks the
passing-
record. He has 1,400 yards rushing and 12 rushing touchdowns and passes for
If
1,800
he's still
yards.
that dominant,
18
even if it's on the
touchdowns.
side of the ball that we don't want in terms of him running everywhere, like I'm like, dude, coach him up. Like if he's still putting up that kind of statistic, it's hard for me just to cut loose with him. It just is, because again, it's their job to make him a better player. So if he's struggling that much passing and is still dominant with his legs, there's still something there, and he can be coached. So if he would set an all-time rushing record this year, which he should have had last year, by the way, because he had a 58-yard touchdown against Minnesota that was called back in a bullshit penalty in week 5 or whatever it was in the early in the season in Minnesota. So if you count that, he already broke the record. But anyway, it's hard for me to go against him if he has another great year like that. But if you have 2 first-round picks, you have the luxury of at least drafting a hypothetical replacement if he doesn't develop. So I'm not trying to be wishy-washy. I think you could keep him and draft another kid in that scenario if you had the first-round pick, if Carolina struggles that badly.
I would say this. I would say that.
Well said.
If
I love answers like that to pontificating questions. Well done. I need like a ding ding
Pan
ding.
dog. Sorry.
Well
Pete.
done.
Let PJ go.
But if he is missing wide open receivers, I mean, to where he's either overthrowing them, not throwing it to them at all, then we really need to look into getting another quarterback. But if they're like well covered and there's no thing, and that's what causes him to be the same statistics as last year, okay, I'm really gonna wait it out. But if he's just missing guys, nah. As much as I like it, because I'm a Fields guy too, but if you're missing it like that, nah, you better get that quarterback while you can.
Yeah,
Stole
like
my
that
thunder,
throw
Pete,
against
'cause
Washington.
That's where I was going with it, man. If that's going to happen, Mr. Dan Aguirre, I think that there's got to be a problem with the line, or these guys are getting covered. I see exactly what you're saying too, and if that's the scenario though, even I'm with you, man. I keep him. I trade that pick down. I put more talent around him, whatever it takes to get it done. Because I just what we're talking about, I just don't see it happen.
I don't either. I'm not for it. I'm trying to just get your guys' thoughts on mine. Yeah, pontificate with me a little bit. J2K saying, I keep Fields. There have been very good college QB busts. Fields will be a proven QB after this season, in my opinion. Yes. Bearsky saying, no. This gets to Chad thinking too. Mo Bierman saying Fields has to light it up this year, otherwise I could see Poles moving on just due to the cap/team building issues.
What if the offensive line falls apart? Everybody gets hurt, and we're screwed again. Do you move on him from because of that? Because he's got 1,800 yards rushing? Because he's running for his life again? I mean, there's too many scenarios that go involved to what's going to happen.
Like, let's say Braxton Jones gets hurt.
That's
the back, like just Braxton. If the rest of the line's okay, his backup right now allegedly is Larry Borum. Oh my God! Like I don't want to just hate on one of our own guys, but I have no faith in Larry Borum on either side, especially on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I just flat out quoted the next thing Poles needs to be looking for is a tackle, swing tackle at least, a good solid one. Because who do we have?
Larry fucking Borum.
That's right, and that's not good enough.
He's the Sam Mustafa of the line now.
Yeah, I like Larry. I mean, I thought he played well the other day. But again, that was just one day. He dropped some weight this year. So I'm hoping that proves to be well for him if he's needed to be that swing tackle.
I hope
I love what AC Adams saying here. What in the world is more worrisome than JF1 not developing? Sorry, Adam.
Because the thing is,
think about this.
I'm not worried about Fields not developing. I'm a believer, man. I've said it since the game in Pittsburgh 2 seasons ago.
I was at that game.
that game.
Yeah, he
The
looked
last
like
touchdown, the way he was on the field in the corner, and they were talking. He goes, "All right, we could do this." And he got on the field, took him down, drove down a touchdown, and then the
it
stupid
should have
flag
won.
kicked
They
in.
called that bullshit taunting penalty, which
Right.
was complete and utter horseshit.
Load of crap.
Yeah, that we got cheated. Again, I was at that game sitting beside my friend who's a Broncos fan, and everybody else was Pittsburgh fans. And they told me flat out, the guys in my row said, "We just got one. I mean, we'll take it, but you all got hosed." And that was coming from Pittsburgh fans who were actually polite to me, unlike when we were in Cleveland when they just kept calling me an Aldo gay and stuff. Like the Browns fans were huge assholes. And you would think that the Browns have lost enough to where they would have empathy for us. But
Right.
yeah,
right.
so we're the ones who's gay, then you bring in a sex offender at quarterback. But
The chat is saying, okay, let's move on. You guys suck. I don't like this conversation from Cliff. So let's move on from that conversation.
Cliff, what are you making tonight, dude?
Oh, you sent me pictures.
Right? Saddle that thing up, horseshoe it, and ride it on out of here, brother.
He actually sent me some pictures of what he did tonight.
if I could say one more thing about Fields before we
Please
move
do.
on.
Go.
Every year I've heard, going back to when I was a kid, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. I mean, I'm talking about going back to Jim Harbaugh. I would hear that,
Right.
and because he was that one year, that 91 we referenced earlier, they said, Ditka was mad saying that they were throwing too much. So and then Eric Kramer came in. So I've been hearing that for years about the passing, and I believed in Jay Cutler, so I really thought Jay would get there, and then he never got there, and then Trubisky never got there, and it's just like, God, this is never going to happen. And then even though I liked Mitch, when I would hear people say this is the year Mitch was going to do it, I didn't really believe that he was going to get 4,000 yards. But this season, when it was, Justin said, that's a goal of mine, I want to do this, it didn't feel like it was so insurmountable like it has in my whole life, like, oh, that'll never happen. It honestly felt like if this guy's healthy, he's going to get 4,000 yards this year. He's going to be the most prolific single season passer that we've ever had. Now, that doesn't take a lot in today's game to get 4,000 yards, but we've never done it. But I honestly feel like Fields is going to do it. I really do. He said it was one of his goals. If he stays healthy, I don't know how he doesn't get there.
To Dan's point, I don't remember us ever having as many weapons as we do now to support him in getting that. I mean, I think he has a great chance of achieving that goal simply because of the weapons we have. We have a better line. So, yeah, I believe he'll get 4,000.
Well, Cutler that one year had Martellus and Alshon and Brandon and Forte, and it's just like, oh, their offense is lighting it up, but the defense was the worst in the league. Like literally at that time was statistically the worst defense in the history of the franchise in 2013, which that may have been exceeded last season. I don't know, honestly. Right. But had Jay had a decent defense, he probably gets that in 13 because he did have good players around him. But we've got a better coach now. Trestman's a good OC, but is not a leader of men to be a head coach. Right. Eberflus has more respect from him. The defense should be better than the 13 team. You keep Fields healthy, like you said, he's got weapons around him. If Claypool comes back from the hammy,
yes,
he's playing for a deal. Mooney's playing for a deal. We got 3 good tight ends now. Seem to have good backs. It just seems like we're going to do it.
But the other thing, Dan, that we didn't have, what we have now, what we didn't have then, we have speed. All those guys you mentioned, none of those guys had speed. Alshon, Marshall, Bennett, Forte, they didn't have speed. We have all these guys running 4.3, 4.4 speed. That's something that we didn't have.
Right. That's a good point. Very good point.
We've got top quality. You know what? DJ's probably the 8th best receiver in the NFL. 8 to 12, definitely. I think there's only 6 guys that have done what he's done, man. If I could remember the names, you guys would go, holy shit, because they're all huge. The best of all time, man. How many yards before the age of 26? Because there's only 7 or 8 guys.
Right.
He's one of them. And after what I see, and then watching all this stuff in Carolina, with not good quarterbacks, the numbers the guys put up. Here's the question: Can Justin Fields sling it? Does he got it? Because I think so. I think he can throw that ball where it needs to be thrown. Look at his stuff in college. He's got to just have the better protection, progress through his weeks. Swifty showed us even last year, man, a bunch of film where he's progressing through the reads. He can't even get to the second or third one half the time, and the other time these guys are blanketed. They're running the wrong routes.
But look at yesterday. I mean Saturday. Look at Saturday, Foster. The fact that he threw screen passes and got those yards. That's what I'm saying. So he don't even have to throw it downfield like that anymore. He can run after the catch now is going to be incredible with the speed we have at the positions.
And people are saying, oh, it was behind him or it was off. Big freaking deal. It was caught because there's some talent there to catch it. And then there's talent to get yards after the catch.
Exactly.
So you got to get the ball close so the guy can catch it and then make a play on it. That's what he's getting all these big bucks for.
You know,
that's part about it.
With our number one, DJ's our number one. Those guys are supposed to make plays. They're our
if I could say
ones.
one thing about DJ Moore, I wanted to add to Foster, and maybe I'll end up being wrong, but I think that this is true. In my opinion, this is true. In my lifetime, the only dominant wide receiver, and I love some receiver. I love Curtis Conway. I love Jeff Graham. Like, we've had players I liked, and they did good things. But to me, the only wide receiver we've ever had in my lifetime that I felt was dominant was Brandon Marshall. Yeah. And, like, again, he had other things going against him at times, but he was a legitimately great player in terms of his ability. I think the Bears elevate. A lot of Bears fans made it seem like Allen Robinson was Jerry Rice at times. I never understood it. Well, it's like we pretended that he was really good and he was okay. I think that DJ Moore is actually better than the way the Bears are presented. I think he's underrated. I think he's going to be a stud, man. I really think he's going to be just as good as Brandon Marshall was for us. I really believe that to be true.
If I may, DJ Moore and the connection with Fields right now. When you see them, the highlights of practices where he's throwing it where only GJ can catch it, that is incredible. I've never seen a Bears quarterback throwing passes like that. I mean, Cutler was more like the guy, once a guy is open, he had his arm strong enough, he'd get it to him then. But the anticipation and to get the ball only where the receiver can get it, I've never seen a Bears quarterback.
It's a different kind of touch to the ball. Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. I'm just
the breadbasket is how I like to say it.
Yeah.
I want to say something, and then I'll be quiet just because of this for a bit.
All right, you already said something. Shut up,
man. Shut the fuck up.
We're moving on to Dan now.
For once, damn it. Ryan Gilmer says, to me, it sounds like we are going off emotions from last regime and the new system last year, along with shedding old expensive players. I don't know. Maybe I'm understanding that. You guys, I've seen like every Bears game since 1975, and I've seen games prior to that.
Yes.
Going back to Bobby Douglas, man. So we've never had a freaking quarterback ever like this ever. Not since 1946 when Sid Luckman left. Serious. Mm-hmm. I've seen this before. I've seen it 1, 2, 3, 5 times in my life, and only 2 times has it been something like the 2 Super Bowls, okay? So this is going to happen with this team. This team's going to be solid. This team's going to be good. Hopefully we get it for 7 or 8 seasons. But it's going to happen, man. I'm just telling you from what I've seen over the decades and what I see, man.
I know.
And everybody laughed, but remember this. They're going to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised if it is this year, dude. Everybody's like, oh, you're hyping them up, but I'll just shut the hell up now because now I'm done with my little rant, Dan.
Q says if Fields throws for 4,000 yards this year, Bears are the favorite to win the Super Bowl in 2025. I say they're the Super Bowl to win it this year if he throws for 4,000 yards.
You don't have to throw for 4,000.
If he throws for 4,000 yards this
season, shitload too.
He could be MVP just because he threw for 4,000 yards as a Bear.
Probably would happen. It's history.
That could be a
just
team
that
wins the Super Bowl.
For those of you who know this, how many yards did the guy from Philly throw last year?
Oh, Hurts?
Yeah, Hurts.
I don't know the answer.
2,200. 2,600. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying. So I'm just thinking if Fields can just get to that level and continue not as much running as he did, but have some running still, he can be in an MVP conversation like Hurts was last year. That's the point I'm trying to make.
He threw for 3,701 yards.
See, he don't even have to
22
get
touchdowns, 6 picks.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Fields got numbers similar to that, I can see him being in the MVP conversation, depending on our record, of course. But man, with what we have,
His average is 2,600 yards a season. I'm sorry, I saw that wrong before.
oh, you're
His
fine.
average, career
I'm just saying. I mean, just the mere fact that we don't need him to be Superman.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I said too. He don't need to throw for 4,000 yards. He can throw for 3,400 yards, still run for 1,200 because the defenses are going to give him that because they're going to be so afraid of all the weapons if the line can hold up. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it, but everything that I just said, he's got all the weapons. He's got enough weapons for sure. Look at the wide receiver corps. Look at the tight end room.
Right.
You can't even compare the team that we have for a year ago from right now, night and day. Think about it. They're night and day.
Absolutely.
We've got 20 rookies right now on the roster.
Swifty in the
They're
house.
going to stick around.
Right.
Swifty in the house.
Dan Aguirre,
Sir.
when was the last time, if ever, you could say that the Bears had this many weapons that could take it to the house at any given moment?
Probably that team I referenced earlier with Martellus and Alshon and Brandon Marshall and Forte. I'm not the biggest Forte fan because I thought he was really good out of the backfield, but if it's 3rd and 1, he's not going to get it if he's got to run. But he was explosive catching wheel routes and stuff and just screens out of the backfield. So, yeah, but that team I thought, again, Jay had a good arm, and then Josh McCown played well too. So I think that team was able to score and had weapons around it, just the shitty defense. This defense is better than that. So your point is definitely made, though, that it feels like just the top 3 receivers, like, again, Claypool and Mooney are both balling for their lives this year. And DJ Moore is going to want to stick around and justify like being a part of that trade. And then you got Komet's going to want to like show that he deserved the money and wants to progress. And, you got on paper 3 good running backs.
Yeah.
The kid you drafted and then Foreman and Herbert. It's just like, fuck, man, they do have, it seems like they do have a lot of talent on offense right now. It's just that fucking line, man. If they can hold up. And like I said, it's just one preseason game, but Whitehair looked good when I saw him, when I noticed him. And I was very dubious of that move because I was hoping he would get cut.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Whitehair either. I mean, especially when he's making $14 million this year or something. So, yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but I thought he played well the other day. And as I've been mentioning, just the pure speed that we have now is just incredible for me. Just the speed.
Guys, I'm seeing in here from chat, Q Carito is saying, before we get off tonight, we got to have a short moment of silence for Alex Collins. Rest in peace.
I'm sorry he died.
Yeah, let's take a quick silent moment here. Thank you for that.
Who was Alex Collins?
Former running back, Seahawks, Ravens, died in a motorcycle crash.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Age of 28.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but
thank you for that, Keo. Anyway, I didn't mean to bring everybody down, but yeah, it's good to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
Guys, the chat is blowing up here, guys. I can't
we
even
got 78 people in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. Swifty Nation hopping on and hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Joe Treviso is saying 76 peeps in chat and only 15 likes. Come on, hit that like button. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
But you guys were talking about speed, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, I'm just so impressed with the amount of speed we have. That, the simple passes where we think, oh, why is he throwing this little screen pass? that we can now take to the house. Whereas before we throw a screen pass, we'd get 7 yards and like, okay, we needed 10. So now we actually can take it to the house. As much as I love Montgomery, he did lack that top end speed.
That's true. That is true. And after his comments, like, I'm not rooting for him anymore. Plus, before, if he would have been more like, I don't know, like, yeah, I liked my time in Chicago or whatever, like I would have still been wanting him to play well with the Lions, but not against us. But now I'm going to be booing that motherfucker. Like, you're going to come out and act like, like you hated your entire run with us. Okay, fine. I wish you nothing but the worst. They've already drafted your replacement in Detroit.
Did you hear what
my bromance is over, Dan?
Yeah.
Did you hear the comments he said on NFL Network about Fields?
God, no. Was it going to piss me off?
Not at all. What
Okay,
he
good.
said was, because it was the woman reporter. I'm sorry, I forget her name, but she said, talking to him, he said Fields is the hardest working player he's ever seen. And he said, she added, she said the fact that he didn't have to say anything nice about Fields because he's with Detroit, but he gave that unsolicited, that Fields was the hardest working player he ever seen.
Wow.
Good. I like that for sure.
Hey man, when the kid went out, per the documentary of him in high school, after a game, and went out with his buddies, his dad's making him mow the lawn in the dark, saying, "Hey, you want to go with your buddies after the game?" Like, that's, I mean, the kid he's dedicated. He has that it factor to push through.
Oh yeah.
He reminds me of that. He's in that elite category.
I've said this to Aldo, and he's agreed. Like, again, I don't want to put too much pressure on Fields, not that he's listening to us, but I'm just saying in my lifetime, once again, like, I'm not saying he's Jordan or Walter, but they both had that intangible ability to just like, wow, like just to make you get out of your fucking chair. And since Walter or Mike, I haven't seen anybody like that in Chicago. Maybe Sammy Sosa in his run with McGuire in '98, but for the most part, I'm saying, like, for the Bears, this guy has the most intangible charisma and ability to just be incredible since Walter, in my opinion, in terms of just being a home run hitter. And, Walter wasn't super fast either, but he just had every other box was checked. Yeah. And he made up for it with just pure fucking heart and passion. And Fields has got that intangible. Whatever that it is, he has it, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Never say die, and he's homicidal. He could kill it his job. You're laughing, but that's what it is. And that's
Hester. I got to give
Walter
Hester.
had, and Dick Butkus and all these guys had.
Right, he has
Jones,
that.
they all had this. They could.
Devin Hester had it too.
At their job, Devin Hester.
Hester had it too. I didn't give him enough props.
We were just talking about him the other night about like how you would like he was so good that as he was running, it was almost in slow motion that you could see with your own eyes the pattern that was being created by his eyes. You're like, there it is. Oh, he's gone. It was like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How he just made that one move. It was almost like a skip in like a frame was removed or something from the picture, the moving picture, just to have him stutter to that next move, and then he was just gone.
Yeah.
He was so fun to watch. That's what Justin has. He has that Michael Jordan, Walter Payton, Devin Hester it factor.
I feel like my whole life would be differently if we'd have won that game. I really believe that. This sounds great. Meatball fan again, but I'm telling you, my whole life, my whole outlook, if they'd have beaten Indianapolis in February of 2007, my whole life would feel better.
I'm telling you, I agree. Can't disagree with you on that.
See, the best analogy I have to explain it is like, again, I quit watching the NBA and Major League Baseball to satiate my ex-wife's ego. Like, she said I gave too much effort to sports and not enough to her, and I quit watching basketball and baseball. But for 30 years, I was a Cincinnati Reds fan. And for years after they got Ken Griffey, they didn't give a shit It was like, well, we'll sell tickets, we'll sell jerseys, we're turning a profit. And I was okay with it. I wanted them to win, especially for Griffey. But I had that championship as a fan in 90 and was okay with it. I was okay. And when Dusty got there, I was like, man, Dusty doesn't fuck around. Dusty wants to win. And I love Dusty Baker. And my point is, but I was like anchored by that championship in 90 to go through losing, and I was still happy and listen to the games and watch the games and cared. I would be the happiest fucking Bears fan in the world, I think, if they'd have just won Super Bowl 41 and not feeling like I'm going to miss out on something and I'm going to die and still wanting. I'm going to be an old Cubs fan who, when they finally did it, they go to my grave to like, if he could have only been here. That's the way I feel right now.
I remember having a moment when they drafted Justin Fields, and I just thought, man, I hope I don't die, like in a car accident or something, and miss a Justin Fields Super Bowl.
As soon as they drafted Justin Fields, and I forget who the guy was, when he came out and he said, "My Chicago Bears draft," I was so excited. I bought his jersey immediately. Last time I was that excited, I bought Jay Cutler's jersey as soon as the trade happened with Denver in 2009. That's the way I felt when they got Fields. I was like, oh man, I felt like they drafted the right guy, because everybody that I know, other than Mike North maybe, and I don't even know if Mike was into Mitch at the time, when they drafted him as the second pick, I was like, oh, well, I hope he's good. But it just felt like, really? That's who they drafted?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I was all in on Mahomes or I knew something, but it just felt wrong when Trubisky was drafted. I'm like, I hope he's good. But when Fields got drafted, it felt right.
Right. It wasn't the same.
You remember when Trubisky got booed going to the United Center? Yeah. Like everybody felt like, this guy's a chump. Like I rooted for him. I liked him. I did. I think he was way better. Matt Nagy held him back. But he's not in Fields' league. Not at all.
Not at all. I will say this, though. I still believe in Trubisky to be a good backup quarterback for us in this system. I think with this type of system, Trubisky could do well. I really believe.
But the city would never want him back, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's a whole nother argument. But in this system, but
your point is well stated. I agree. If he had a different coach, and that's why I thought he'd have more success in Pittsburgh, because I think Mike Tomlin's an excellent coach. Even though he's a defensive coach, I still thought away from Nagy he would be better than what he was last year.
I don't think he could handle pressure. The fact that they brought him in and then drafted that rookie quarterback the same time, I don't think his mental makeup is like, okay, I can come in here and be this guy with this guy breathing down my neck to replace me. He can't handle that. He's the same guy who cut off the TVs in Halas Hall because he's speaking negative. So
he got Mike Glennon. What happened to Glennon when he got drafted is what happened to him. Yeah, the same thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So his mental makeup is not to talk negative about the guy, but I don't think he's mentally strong to handle that type of pressure.
The term that pops in my head was when Ron Rivera left in 2007 when Lovey forced him out. He told the press he called Grossman a mental midget. So I liked Rex too, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, Ron Rivera called him when he left. Where did he go to first? San Diego? Was he an assistant in San Diego before ultimately getting in Carolina? Because we played them on opening day in 2007, and I think that was when he made the comment and called him a mental midget.
He was a defensive coordinator in San Diego. Yes.
Yes, and we played them opening day of 2007, as fate would have it.
Guys, let's welcome Paulski, Bearski Film, to the show, the creator of the awesome films that we just showed you guys from All 8 Sacks and Travis Gibson.
Good film, man. It was a good film. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I wanted to join in because I just got too much to type, man. I can't keep up, especially on the cell phone. What was really cool, I know you guys were talking about Walter Payton when we were when me and some of my friends were out there in the tailgate of the preseason handing out t-shirts. We ran into these two old guys. I say old, but older guys that lived, not including Foster, but two older guys that lived through the Walter Payton era, and we asked them, hey, what was it like to see Walter play? And they were both their jaws dropped. They said one game he was a kicker and a quarterback in the game.
Yeah.
And I think what most people fail to realize is, didn't Walter get drafted in the late 70s? I mean, this man was
75.
about
1975
years into his career before he had, the production he did with the Bears that we all know and think about. But he literally carried that team through their worst years, kept his head up, kept his attitude up, kept his character up. You know what? I love this phrase about Walter Payton. You got all these guys nowadays that sit there and you have personal trainers that work them out off the field and on their off time and stuff like that. Do you think Walter Payton ever had a personal trainer? He didn't need one. He did not need one. That man was so self-motivated that he did it all. I wish I would have been alive to see him in his prime.
Can I add to that real quickly? Could I add to that quickly, please? In 82, McMahon's first start was after the strike. So it was technically the third game, but it's like week 11 because they had the players' strike. So after the game, Walter, of course, took a beating. In the post game, the presser, they're in the locker room, and they asked Walter how he felt. And he said, "I feel better now than I did in week 1." He said, I worked out every day, and I mean every day during the strike. I wasn't doing shit but working out. So I feel better now, even after this game, than I did opening day going into it. I mean, that's the testament to what you're saying. Just the guy was just unbelievable, the work ethic. I mean, he could have been just saying that, but I don't think so. I bet he meant every word he was saying. So, yeah, Walter is – and here's a stat for you. Walter's a rookie in 75. He doesn't have a Pro Bowl lineman in front of him until 85. Until 85, his 11th season. So his first 10 years, and mind you, he breaks Jim Brown's record in his 10th season. So he did all of that without a Pro Bowl lineman ever until his 11th season. I mean, that's all you need to know about Walter.
And in 1977, he was 58% of the offense. The only other guy they had,
league MVP.
The only other guy they had was James Scott. I think he caught 890 yards or 920 yards worth of passes.
And he shot a motherfucker.
None of those guys on that line ever made a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro selection. None of them that were on that line for 77.
You know what?
He ran 5 games over 200 yards, and that damn ice in New York, because he was probably going to break that damn record. He needed like 182 yards or something like that, Dan. But the way the guy was running, the ice screwed him. Bears ended up making the playoffs anyways.
Yeah, because
and then
Bob Thomas finally made a field goal after missing like 3 of them earlier in the game.
Yep.
And then they go and get just annihilated by the Cowboys after that. But that's still a fun game. You go back and listen to the commentating, and I know Johnny Morris is straight lace and always professional. But goddamn it, when Bob Thomas made that field goal, Johnny Morris was like, "We're going to the playoffs!" Like it was like he lost his mind. It's great. I love it.
The last time they went, he was on the team and they won in '63. That was the last time they went.
Yeah, I love it. That he still cared
for that.
You know, the other thing.
I got to see every game, and I jumped up and down, screaming.
I would like to talk about
probably 10 out of the 14 games that year. So,
like, why they called him
the best ever. I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
Why they called him Sweetness? Like he was just so. He was so fluid, and his motions were just so beautiful. The way he would hold on to the ball with the one hand and do the little stutter step, and then his sweep, the outside sweep was just it was a magical thing to watch. The pitch outside, the pitch out to the right or left, him going to the sideline with the ball in the hand, and then he would just find that hole and go right through it. And he just like that burst of speed. He wasn't super fast, but he had, he had a great burst of speed, and he was so powerful. Just
If I'm not mistaken,
beauty, like a ballerina in a way.
He's Lynn Swan. If Lynn Swan was tough as shit, because Lynn was a little bit soft. I'm not going to call him soft, but when the Raiders hit him, he didn't want to get hit. And who would want to sustain that punishment? But Walter did. So I'm saying he's just every bit as graceful as Lynn Swan, but also with a fucking muscle to hit you in the face with his stiff arm. Like he was so tough, but he could have been a dancer.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he was either a dancer or a gymnast prior to playing football.
Yeah, he was obviously on the Soul Train thing, but I mean, he could have been a professional,
No, I
dancer.
thought he took it up in school. Is what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's so graceful and gregarious and everything, man. He had the personality and the ability, everything about the guy. I feel like as Walter, Jared's supposed to be on with us sooner than later. He gave I feel like I'm saying this like Jared's here, but like I'm not sucking up to him or his dad. Like he deserves, even now, all the praise he could ever get. I mean,
agreed. I think,
guys, I just want to mention one more
really
thing.
good, man.
I know we got on the topic of Matt Nagy a little bit. Listen, it could have happened. That team was good enough. When you look at what's up,
wait, he just said it.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
Exactly, 100%.
The bald fuck. We call him the bald fuck.
You look at a guy like Doug Peterson. He went and won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles as his quarterback during the Super Bowl. Like you could sit there and make it happen and get lucky. And Doug Peterson was out of a job 3-4 years later. Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, was a third-string quarterback on the Bears 3-4 years later. So you look at that, and it just happened to come together at the right time, in the right moment, and you could do it. Like, we definitely had a little window of opportunity in 2018, and Nagy could have done it. However, long-term success is different than short-term success. It's a lot easier to sit there and push the chips all in to trade first-round picks away for a guy like Khalil Mack and try and make a big boom right away. But what we have here right now with Ryan Poles is more of a long-term approach. It's a slow and steady approach, and we're seeing progress faster than I think we expected to because of the number 1 overall pick and then being able to trade back and kind of ramp this thing up a little quicker. But this thing's here to stay. If Fields doesn't work out, we got 2 first-round picks. Listen, there's a backup plan. For the first time in, my Bears watching lifetime, we're not all in on this one game plan. We're sitting with options. So I believe in Fields completely. I think he's going to do it. I definitely think he's going to improve as a passer and still use that running ability that he has as more of a weapon instead of a desperation act. But if it all goes to shit, we're still fine. We're still building a team that can win and keep on winning for a couple of years and moving forward.
And
so
the reason Poles was brought in here to do exactly that, start from the ground up and build a team and a functional organization from top to bottom, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with all that. I think the biggest thing that Poles add, as well as Eberflus, this team actually has an identity, something that Nagy could never establish when he was here. And the fact that we had Fangio, a great defensive coordinator, and instead of leaning into that head coach at that time with the visor, I don't want to say his name again. But he want to do trick plays. He want to do trick plays. And instead of running the ball,
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
He doing trick plays. So we actually have a coach who's actually doing a good job in giving this team an identity, and we can build upon that identity with now the weapons we have with the speed.
Yes. That is exactly it. That's why we all feel so good about this team. Fucking Homer and this all comes out, and we're just like, yes, these are all the different ways that we can win.
Well, let's bring it full circle. Full circle. I still think week 1 is huge, man. We got to beat Green Bay. I don't care if we win 14-13. We have to beat Green Bay.
100%. We've faced way too much shit now to the fan base, to the Packers fans. The confidence level is really high because we are a better team than they are. But the NFL is a weird sport. Too fast here. So anything can happen, any given Sunday. But I totally agree. We got to come out there and make a statement this year. We have to. Otherwise, it's going to be so flat going into week 2 if we lose week 1.
Yeah.
We just
Dan,
gotta
you're
go out there and
you're
put
going
them
to that. You're going to that game, right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
So you remember all the things I taught you from the game we were at, right? The Dolphins game.
Yeah, I'm going to be there with Sonny Jovanovic, and he's going to make sure that I am boisterous and happy.
You're going to want to be high-fiving everyone around you. High-five everyone around you, Dan.
I'll do my best.
You might want to grab a guy or two and just smooch them on both cheeks.
I don't know about that. I'm not homophobic, but I don't want to kiss any guys in spite of that.
Just because you don't want to kiss somebody, or just because you don't want to kiss a guy, doesn't make you homophobic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not homophobic. I
You're
just don't want to kiss any men, though.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with it. Although I did see you with a picture of the guy grabbing your junk, though. But
that was Marilyn Manson, and I didn't know that was. Again, that was backstage, and it turned out to be a great photo. So
that's what it was a joke, man. It was a joke. Don't take it personal.
No, not personal at all. Just
every time I see
explaining
that, I laugh.
That was legit, though. Like, it's not like I knew that he was going to do that, and that's my natural reaction of that stupid look on my face.
That's the best part about it. That was real.
Right. That's the funny part. It was your look. That was like a classic.
I wish I had.
I'd never had a man hold my fucking balls or penis before. He had both.
And then deep down inside, the gigantic fan inside you was like, "This is awesome."
Actually, what I said, because my ex-wife we weren't married yet, but she was taking a picture with him next, and I got into that one too, because I was like, I know I made a stupid fucking face in that, so I'm getting in this one. And since he grabbed me, I was like, fuck it. I put my arm around him in the other photo, and he didn't say anything. I'm giving him like a man hug in the photo, though, in the other one. I felt emboldened by that time. It was like, if you can grab my scrotum, I can put my arm around you.
We're close.
Not just your scrotum and your dick.
Well, he had more balls than penis, but yeah, it touched it.
At that point in time, you guys are best buds.
It was a moment.
Welcome to the show, Bearski. He's like, what in the fuck am I involved in right now?
But to go on with what Leo Factor was saying in the chat, what do you guys feel about our defensive tackles? Because it seemed like against Titans, we wasn't so stout up the middle at first.
At first, it was the beginning of the game. It was a preseason game. They didn't game plan for it.
Well, hold on. You didn't have Henry running either. That's what I'm saying. And he's still getting gashed up that middle was kind of concerning for me.
It was. I'll be honest. If we're gonna go in real time of how the game was playing out, it was concerning.
Yeah.
Foster and I were talking about it on the GameCast. Like, oh,
This
This
isn't good.
very easy. Yeah, that was like a play drive on the first.
Exactly.
That's what I think I said exactly that.
That's what I was saying. I mean, and that's without Derrick Henry. So that's why I was like, whoa.
Joe Treviso is asking if Yannick and David are playing Saturday. Yeah, I hope Yannick is playing. David who?
He's talking about the guy from Walker. Name Walker? Or what's his first name?
DeMarcus Walker.
Devontae. Not Devontae.
Is it Darwin?
Our defense that we got.
Marcus Walker.
DeMarcus Walker. Yeah.
Oh, DeMarcus Walker.
That's probably who he meant. I hope so. I'm going to be at that game, so I hope we have a good showing there.
That's going to be the big game for me. because it'll be the second game. How much are they going to play him in the third game?
Yeah.
That's gonna shake out the roster right there. That preseason Colts game, I believe.
That, to your point on the last game, of course, we used to have 4 preseason games, but remember that year that the bald fuck had it was actually Fox, I think. They had Trubisky in there in the last game against the Browns, just getting his ass handed to him.
Oh, no, that was definitely Matt Nagy. Go ahead and play that clip again.
He was taking shots in that last preseason game. Like, dude, that's your top draft pick. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
Not the bald fuck. The bald fuck was like, we don't play anyone in the preseason. Remember that? He's like, we're not playing any of our starters.
Right.
And to see, that's one of the problems I had with him was he would never play his starters during the preseason. It's like, dude, and he talking about building callous. Because I remember that was one of his phrases, talking about this team need to build some callous. I'm like, how are you building callous if you're not playing the starters in preseason? Then when the first game of the season, we sit up there and come out flat. And it's like, I wonder why. They didn't play in the preseason.
I'll use another one of his phrases to respond. I just feel like he never understood the why. Maybe I always say that we don't know what the why is. Why? Yeah. It's like, no, the why is you. You're the one who doesn't understand. Everyone else can see it.
Guys, this was a sports man's dream. And like, look at me. I'm bald. Like, I'm totally for a bald white guy being the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I mean, it resembles me. And then they get a quarterback with the speed at the end of the game. Guys, I was in heaven. You know, I know it was SKY and not SKI, but I mean, I had such high hopes. But the second I saw Club Dub celebrating a week 2 or week 3 victory, like what are you doing?
And still doing it the next year.
What are you doing? Oh, it's just, the most important thing is that we all have fun. No, it's the NFL. Like this is the highest level of the sport. You have fun in Pee-wee football. Ah, man, it was so evident that it was going to be a train wreck, and it was so evident that we were lucky to get the winner that we did.
You sound better with it closer to you, like you just had it.
One last Nagy comment, if you could give me that. We were playing San Diego at Soldier Field, and they just look awful in the first half. They look terrible. The crowd's booing. They come out in the second half in an I formation and start running the ball, and ultimately should have won the game. Pinheiro missed the kick to lose. But after the game, Matt Nagy, when they ran the ball so smoothly in the second half and should have won the game, he said, I was not brought here to run the I formation.
He should have been fired on the spot.
Right. If you, like I always make this analogy, when Pat Riley went to the Knicks, he wasn't running Showtime because he knew he didn't have the talent to play that offense. Right. So he played, but Matt Nagy's one of these guys, he has a quote unquote system, and if the players don't match it, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just going to force that system regardless because he's not cognizant enough he's too arrogant.
Yep.
Is what I'm saying. He doesn't have the wherewithal to say, I got to make adjustments to my system. No, it's their fault. They're the reasons they can't adhere to it. Mm-hmm. So that his hubris, he's terrible, man. He's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, to piggyback on what you guys said earlier about the Club Dub, I mean, after that first season of it, okay, let it ride. But to Dan's point, to do it again the next year, are you serious? Stop yourself. Oh my God.
Like you're keeping this going? Seriously?
Really? It's like, oh my goodness, dude. What do you
John Gruden made fun of us in England. That should have been the end of it because Gruden started dancing and said, I don't have a disco ball, but and that should have been the end of it. When they kicked our ass over there, that should have been the end of it.
I remember watching something from NFL Films, and it was about the Eagles and Patriots Super Bowl in the early 2000s. And the Eagles players were saying, man, we were so happy. It was media week. We had 2 weeks to sit there and talk to the media. And, it's like fantasy land. They're sitting there, and they're all superstars. They've got cameras in front of them. And this and that. And then they said the Patriots plane landed, and all these guys come out, just suit and tie, briefcase, emotionless, just another day at the office. Time to handle
Well,
business. And the one
what's
player,
that?
I forgot which one it was, but he's like, man, I just had a feeling in my gut, like they're just ready for it, and we're not. It's too big for us. And it seemed like a regular season win was too big for Matt Nagy because he's sitting there club dubbing it up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Ridiculous.
What's the expression? Act like you've been there before?
100%,
He act like,
PJ. Act like you've been there before.
yeah, he act like he never been there. I mean, he got some victories, and you want to celebrate every victory? Are you serious? On an
That's why I
NFL
always
level,
loved
think about
Walter
that.
Payton Spikes, PJ.
Think about that though. On an NFL team celebrating every victory like they just won the Super Bowl. What? Come on, man. Come on.
Walter
It's
Payton Spike,
praise.
yeah. The Walter Payton
Drop
Spike,
the
handing the
ball,
ball
hit
to
the
the
lineman.
yeah, or something. Yeah,
You know, it's tough
show.
because this
Show
is
us
the
when you
NFL
get
that
to
we're
the Super
talking about.
Bowl and win it.
What you should be doing is you should be literally thinking about the plays you missed. I know you guys probably have all seen the Netflix special, the quarterback special, but that's so real. Like, a lot of the Kirk Cousins clips in there. I'm the first one to tell you I don't want Kirk Cousins as my quarterback, but he does do everything he needs to do in order to be the best he can be. He's just not better than some of the more physically gifted guys. But it takes a lot of work, and a ton of work, a ton of concentration, a ton of communication, and there's plays left out on the field every single game. Every single game, right? So whether you win or you lose, like you should be constantly trying to focus on the things that you missed and that you didn't do well and trying to get better. Like you should be having conversations with, your wide receivers or your running backs, like, hey, I know we won, but on that third down in the third quarter, I expected you to do this and you did this or whatever. Instead,
Agreed.
they got clubbed up.
Agreed. And it was a rumor that he would not even go over the game film with the team to critique them. He would. I mean, one thing I loved about Walsh for the 49ers, the way he practiced was he would tell Montana to throw the ball like 6 inches in front of the player, and if you don't do it, rep it until you do. To pursue perfection is the way you're supposed to coach. That way, when you get there, I mean, you may not get it. You may in a game throw the ball 9 inches in front, but it's still catchable. But by you pursuing perfection like that, it's like it makes you better as opposed to, oh, let me glory in this victory I have. Even if we got lucky and won on a trick play, let's do this club dub instead of holding the guys accountable, making them better. That's how you coach. And he just has no concept. That's why I'm so happy with Eberflus. The fact that, like I said many times, to me, he's a real coach, period. He's a real coach.
So my only concern with Eberflus is if we do well and we do progress, then Luke Getsy is going to get picked out of this coaching staff. He's going to sit there and get offered a different position somewhere else where he's going to, possibly be a head coach or whatever, and he's going to make more money.
Right.
Does Matt Eberflus have the connections within a league to sit there and be able to bring in another offensive coordinator that can sit there and work under him? Because that's the problem we face with Lovey. It's like Lovey was great and everything, however, he couldn't get the coordinator positions correct. And those are so important. You got to be able to trust those guys. And, one of the things with Matt Nagy is in that 2018 season, in that game against the Packers, I remember, we scored a big play, huge pass. We're at the goal line, and it's first and goal, and we get a false start. And the camera pans to Matt Nagy, and he is just covered in that giant laminated play sheet that he had. It's like he's sitting there barking out the next play. And it's like the fact that we got a false start on a first and goal didn't even phase him. You're not a head coach at that point. You're a play caller. You're an offensive coordinator. You should be employing somebody in that position that you trust to be able to do that. And you need to focus on the larger picture of the football game. And that's your job as a head coach. I think Eberflus has done good job of that so far. But I'm kind of concerned with the depth of coaching staff he has under him. Like Alan Williams is already kind of questionable a little bit. Luke Getzey is a great hire, but like I said, if he gets plucked, does he have the connections and the guys that he could pull from other teams or whatever that he could bring in here for this to keep going?
I don't. You're muted, Foster.
I was gonna say, Poles has got a plan for all this stuff, dude. He sees everything.
Yeah.
He's on the ball, man.
That's a great answer, Foster.
I just loved him since he came in. I'm gonna shut up again, man, but he's got it covered, dude. You mentioned. I was laughing real quick, Bearsky. I was laughing at him because he sounded like me. Well, we got tons of options. So I know Poles has collected the information to get the options to make the best decision for the Bears and the organization. And everybody, we got the right people, man. That's key.
And Poles we trust.
PGT.
Yeah, I mean, even if Poles was to get hit by a bus tomorrow, Ian Cunningham is like the best assistant GM in the league.
We also have a very intelligent, knowledgeable president of football operations now. We haven't had that ever.
Well, I think Eberflus said it best when they was asked him why did he choose Getsy in the first place. He wanted that system. So to answer your question is, although Getsy may get plucked, Eberflus wants that system. So either the quarterback coach moves up and still coaches that system, or he brings somebody else in who's going to coach that same system. That's out of Eberflus's own mouth.
Well said. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to read a couple things out of the chat about it.
I just think it's a real concern because we saw the same situation happen here before with Jay Cutler, John Fox, and Adam Gase. Now, we managed to retain Vic Fangio in the process, which was great. He probably should have been head coach, but Adam Gase wound up getting plucked because Cutler had an okay year because there was huge production. So if there is production from Fields and huge production from Fields, you best believe that Getsy's going to be being looked at for promotion. Yeah, definitely.
We just stole them from the Packers, so if anybody, fair game, man.
We have to also take in consideration that this is Fields' second year in this system as well, whereas Cutler, he was only with 1 year with Gase. Gase got plucked. So
he was
Cutler,
1 year with Ron Turner.
Yeah. So right. So the point I'm making is because Fields have 2 years in this system, even if Getsy is now plucked, the fact that Eberflus wants this system, we'll be fine moving forward because Fields is comfortable enough in the system as he's keep on doing the same system.
Yes. 100%. This is I'm not sure if it's the right system for Fields, but Flus chose this system because it's hard for him to defend as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So if that's, that's a good reason to pick the offense that you want for your team. If it's hard enough for you to defend.
Yes. So
I'm Dan, you say down there?
Say it again.
I said, you have anything to add to that?
I didn't think that Luke was that good last year, honestly. And I mean, the point of if Fields does succeed, he'll still get some love. And I guess the analogy with Adam Gase, I could see that being somewhat equal, I suppose. But I thought there were times when Getsy drove me nuts last year. Like, it's like, dude, what are you doing? It's like you're running a fucking in the 2-hole on 3rd and 8 and just to give up play. I felt like a lot of times I don't want to say exposed because maybe they told him to do that. I don't know. And they being the coach or management or whatever, but I definitely don't think his first year with the Bears was worthy of becoming a coach. But having said that, if Fields plays really well, then he may still get that opportunity.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a great response and a valid point. Do you guys think, and this just a general question to all you guys. Because if there is, like, we know tanking exists in the NBA. If there is tanking in the NFL, it definitely that conversation only stays at the top levels. You can't sit there and coach 52, 53 guys and try and get them excited for every single week, every single Sunday to go out there and throw their bodies around and get injured and get hurt and play the, do the most, expect the most that you can get out of them while preaching tanking. It just doesn't exist. I believe towards the end of the season, like, I think the Packers game was a great example. We were up 17-3 on them. And it almost felt like we purposely ran and gave Rodgers opportunity after opportunity to come back and win that game. Do you think there was any kind of talk between the coaches and the coordinators about possibly not trying to necessarily win these games?
More like just calling plays.
How about the GM says, "Hey guys, we got a problem here. You guys want to be stuck in mediocrity for another 3 years, slowly climb through this, or we're at this point of the game, and if we do this way, and I'm not even saying that happened, but just think about that question."
Well, I'm such a play to win the game guy. I've always had that mentality. Every single football game you go into, you want to win. I've called it the ESPN dozens of times. When Sylvie was rooting for losses and this and that, and I had tickets to go to the game, and I was going to the last game of the year, and I'm going to be there. I want to see my team win. You play to win the game. I don't care about draft picks. The draft is a total crapshoot. But however, draft value, that's a different topic altogether. Look at the draft value we got for the first overall pick being traded back, and that opportunity. I believe I posted it earlier in the chat. The last time the Bears had a first overall pick was in the 40s. So that opportunity doesn't present itself. And to have a situation where you have a quarterback progressing forward and the potential to have a first overall pick is almost unheard of. Because everybody that gets the first overall pick drafts a quarterback.
If you want to point to a game and be like, oh, were they tanking? The last game of the year, I was at Minnesota at Chicago. Yes. And Nathan Peterman is starting and is doing okay for Nathan Peterman. And when they get a lead, they take Peterman out and put in a guy they had just signed on Tuesday before. I don't even remember his name. And his first pass is an interception. And the people that are at Soldier Field are just inconsolable.
Well, let's go.
Great point, Dan. Great point. That was a great point.
Yeah, they brought in a dude that they had just signed on Tuesday. I don't even know his fucking name, legitimately.
Right.
They're like, you can't fuck around and win this game now. And as fate would have it, Lovey would go for 2 and get us the win and get us the first pick. But what a day.
Yeah.
You can find footage of what's the one in particular? I think it was a Super Bowl, man.
Unreal that happened that way.
Outright tanking.
Yeah, I mean, it was
out
like
there, man.
The guy we with the Peterman's doing okay. Oh, let's put this other guy
down here.
Well, was it worth it? Because one of my good friends who I've known for a long time, this guy's his family's had season tickets. His grandfather had season tickets. His dad went to the games at Wrigley Field. So they have a certain mentality about it. He told me it feels so shitty to be the last team in the league, to be at the very bottom.
But I never felt that way.
This team's a 6-win team. We just happened to lose some critical games early on. Minnesota.
Thank you, Velus Jones.
Washington. Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't bouncing our way, then fuck it.
Yeah, Smith Morissette against Minnesota.
How many 3-win seasons have you been through?
A bunch.
Just saying, we've been through this shit.
That's the first one.
So 2016 they were 3-13 in Fox's second year.
Oh, I thought they were 4-12.
They're 4-12 in 02 and fucking 4-12 in 97, 4-12 in 98. I've been through all this shit. So.
You really feel better about 4-12 than 3-13? You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. They've gone through some terrible years. I mean, and remember when Ditka was 6-10 in '89? They're like, "This is the worst season ever." Like, well, how could they be 6-10? It's just like, goddamn. Last season, 6-10, I would have blown a stranger to get to 6 wins. That's how bad it felt.
Look at
Losing
the
all
record
those
from
games.
64 to 83. That's 20 seasons. Go look at that record. You don't want to see the amount of wins on it.
Right.
And all of the wins, most of the wins are like 77
and
83.
79.
79.
But that's the thing. I mean, when you really take a step back and look at last season, you know without actually knowing that, yeah, Eberflus and Poles had a conversation about what is our plan moving forward. You can tell. I mean, so even if they never admit it, I don't even care. I know what we saw, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious. And to Dan's point, you put in Boyle, who you just signed.
Thank you for remembering him. I didn't remember his name at all.
Oh, well, somebody in the chat. I ain't going to take the credit for it.
Oh, okay.
I think it was J2K.
Boyle?
Tim Boyle. Yeah. Actually, I thought he played well in that game until the interception.
Well, the interception was his first
How much did
pass.
they pay him to throw that pick?
But,
Okay,
but
so it was after that.
But the mere fact that you put a guy in who you just signed on Tuesday. So,
Right.
yeah.
They're like, we can't fuck around and win this game today, guys. No, we're going to put in this Boyle guy
You're like,
because he doesn't even know the offense or who you are. So we're going to make sure we lose.
It was
They were like, the
gross
coaches are
in
looking at each other
Michigan
like,
a week before.
the coaches are looking at each other like, Peterman's going to win us this fucking game.
Right.
Oh, he's not. He's 14. You're on the bench. Put in, boy, whoever he is, get the fuck in there.
Don't even remember the guy's name. Like, just put that guy in there, will you?
Or his
You
number
know,
6.
the real-
What's his number? What's his number? 12. Whatever his number is.
He was a
The
nice
real-
guy. He helped me with my cart. I owed him a favor.
The real proof to me was the second game against the Lions. In the first quarter, Fields had 100 rushing yards, 20 passing yards, and 1 passing touchdown. And I don't know if you guys remember that game. There was a play, I believe it was right before halftime, with the clock counting down to halftime, where nobody rushed Fields. They played like a prevent, and all the Lions defensive linemen kind of just stayed there, and quarterback sneak protection against Fields just in case he runs. And with all that coverage, Fields threw a pick, and everybody that sat there, and it got made into a meme, and it kind of went viral a little bit where people are like, "Look, Fields can't throw a pass with no pressure even," and this and that. But if you actually looked at that play, because I put film together, so I look at the stuff pretty closely. Man, those guys were all given like 60% effort out there. They were jogging. Nobody was even sprinting. Like it was so pathetic on the entire offensive part. And I don't know what you can what do you expect somebody to do with that, especially after they put the entire team on their back and rushed for 100 yards and got you a passing touchdown and 20 passing yards in the first quarter. Like if that stat line continues, you're talking about unbelievable statistics. But it just goes to show that Fields tried to put this team on his shoulders the entire year. I know I mentioned in the chat earlier that finances, in my opinion, are like a whole second part of the game that's not usually talked about by most fans, unless you find the fans that really kind of dig into it. If you're going to pay a quarterback max money, and kind of Peyton Manning ruined this. Tom Brady never really took max money. He always took cuts because he understood he needed a team around him, and it's easier when it's not all on your shoulders. Peyton Manning was able to put it all on his shoulders. And if you're going to pay a quarterback max money, they need to be able to put the entire team on their shoulders. Russell Wilson's a great example of this. While he was under his rookie contract, you were able to pay a defense. You were able to pay a running game. And those things led to Super Bowls. The second you had to pay Russell Wilson and you had to put the entire team on his shoulders, even with DK Metcalf, he was just not able to get the job done. He's good, but he's not He's not great. He's not Peyton Manning. There's only a few guys that have really achieved that level of quarterback play, and I think the effort we saw from Fields, he's not great with his passing game, but he is definitely big enough and faster than most of these players in the NFL. But we saw the effort of him. Like, he's a baller. He's trying to win every game, and that's why I think the coaching staff at some point kind of calmed it down and said, "Hey, they sat him towards the end of the season."
His passing is coming along, though. It's just a matter of learning the new offense. I mean, it's entirely different offense from when he was running in college.
Well, I think that the last year's statistics, as it is what they are, I think they're actually a reflection of him making good decisions. If you wanted him to try and get more pass yards, the interceptions would have gone up, the sacks would have gone up. That offensive line wasn't holding anybody. A lot of his rush yards were due to necessity and due to lack of trust. And now that we've upgraded these weapons and whatnot, I think we're going to see. Listen, I really, really hope Justin Fields only has like 300-400 rushing yards this year.
Yeah.
I think it's too little because they're going to give him too many opportunities where they're going to blanket shit. And he's going to have no choice.
And
he's just going to run down instead of doing something stupid. He's going to slide or get out of bounds. He's not going to take the injury thing. He's been through that enough. He knows better now.
The better he gets in this offense,
for his life.
He's just going to start. He's going to be able to just move around in the pocket and not, have to. He's not going to take that pass because he'll find the deep ball by just maneuvering around.
Or even if he escapes the pocket, he'll draw the safeties in. There's too much concern and threat of him running that they fall in. They give up their.
He's going to be when the play breaks down.
He'll step back and throw the pass.
Yep.
Yeah, they give up their responsibilities and they all start creeping in. They're all afraid of him.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's going on 3 hours here. We should probably wrap this up around 3 hours. A few minutes.
Sorry,
here.
I know I kind of took this over towards the end, but I was only here towards the end, so.
It's all good. We appreciate you. Who pulled him? Was that you?
That was not me.
You made him leave. No, we were just saying goodbye to you, Bearsky. We appreciate you, PJ. Somebody was messing with you, I think, unless you pulled yourself out.
I did not mess with. I didn't do it. Seriously, I didn't do it.
Oh, okay. Let me try to do this. Nope.
I know Dan said he has to take off.
I pulled him off and put him back on, and he's not on.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we do have to wrap this up anyway. So, Bearsky, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your awesome film breakdown.
Yes.
Seriously, it was awesome to have that on the show. Perfect
Yeah,
time to record as we were talking about it.
Those highlights, dude. Keep them coming.
Appreciate you coming on the show and joining us. Everyone in chat, thank you all so much. There's been so many new people in chat. Keo, it's great to see you again. Godson, man.
Walter Best.
Jamari Riddick.
Jamari Riddick, yes. Raging Oracle.
Dan, if you have to leave, we can sign off without you if you want to say goodbye.
Yeah, I do got to go. I just want to say quickly, it was my pleasure talking with everybody, and Dan specifically. I'm looking forward to working with you again. Like I said, I don't think I can be on next week. Reason being, I have a Smashing Pumpkins concert on the 22nd, which is a Tuesday. So therefore, me and Aldo may be working on Monday, the 21st, and I apologize. But I plan on being with you as almost every Monday, with the exception maybe if I'm traveling back from Chicago, like we talked about on late flights or something.
Yeah, there might be one or two that I'm like the Thanksgiving week. I don't think I'll be available that Monday. I'm going to be camping in New Orleans. So
I'm just saying, man. I mean, we're a team here, buddy. What's up, man?
All right. Well, we got a team going on here. So
it was all my pleasure to talk to everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you again in 2 weeks when we do the last call. When we do last call at Halas Hall again.
If for some reason he and I don't work together next Monday, I'll be back here. I hope no one's offended. That's I've been working with Aldo 3.5 years, and
Absolutely not.
okay,
You got
just
Dan
making
and
sure.
Aldo. Dan and Aldo is more important.
And if you count a time before that, whenever I was just on 100 proof occasionally, I've been with him since 2018. So,
Dan,
but anyway,
you guys, man, you guys are really the reason we're sitting here tonight.
Yeah. Honestly, seriously,
Straight up,
100%.
I'm serious.
100%.
Dan, and you guys, and then I saw you guys, and I've been
Started
talking
watching
to
you
Pete
guys
for 3 years. And Pete, you've been following Dan and him for 3 years too, right? Longer? I don't know.
I was honored when you wanted to do this again. So thank you.
Look at the fucking guy. Nope. Thank you, Dan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted you to know.
No. Thank you.
You guys are the reason this is happening. So thank you.
I appreciate any compliment you can give me in that regard. Thank you. I don't know how to react to it, honestly. I'm so used to thinking that like the only person there that likes me is Aldo. So honestly,
don't believe everything you think.
That's true.
We do what we think, man.
I actually like you. That picture still makes me laugh, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the Bears cap, actually.
Looks like you're about to smooch the ass of a tick.
A tick?
Yeah.
Well, you better hope when you're camping that you don't encounter a tick and get Lyme disease. I would never go camping.
No, I don't sleep in a tent.
I've gone camping 0 times in my 42 years of life. I've never gone camping, hunting, or fishing.
We have a little camper, so it's just something big enough that you can shit in it, you know.
Hey, I slept out in the woods there when I was in the Army.
Oh, that's when you get the ticks on your butt hairs.
God. All right, well, gentlemen, I got to go. Again, thank you all. It was my pleasure to be here.
Dan, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Let us know if you're available for next Monday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you all.
Stay safe.
Good night. Gentlemen, great show.
Yes. Let's finish acknowledging the people in the chat, though.
Please, let us do that.
Godson. Thanks for joining us. Where was I at?
Swifty and Swifty Nation for joining us.
Trevizio. I'm sorry. Joe Trevizio.
Trevizo.
Okay.
Trevizo.
J2K. Leo Factor. Jamari Riddick, we are acknowledged.
Keo Carito.
AC Adam. Am I pronouncing that correct? AC
Adam. Okay. You know,
Jeremy.
Act Adam. It's Act Adam. AC Adam. However you want to say it.
Jeremy. Also, Raging Oracle.
Yep.
Jamari
Riddick.
Yep. Mo Bierman.
We saw James Ford earlier.
Yes.
Leo Factor. I think we mentioned Leo Factor. Cliff Victoria, of course. I never showed Cliff. We'll save Cliff's his food pictures for Thursday.
James Ford.
Mo Bierman.
I think you said Jeremy.
No.
Walter Besky. Walter couldn't join us tonight. Just came in for chat. Gosh, there's
James Ford. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Mentioned James Ford. Yeah, go to the top. There's a lot.
Brian
Gilmore. Yes, thank you, Brian. Always like what Keo Carito has to say too.
Yes, I agree. We got to get Leo Factor on the
There's
show.
a lot of good guys and a lot of good stuff that's said.
Leo Factor, yes.
Yeah, we got to get him on the show. Yeah, he brings up good points.
There's stuff in there that I disagree with, and I'm like, it's a valid point. I can't even argue it sometimes, man.
I shouldn't say that. I love this. I love to hear what all you have to say. Actually, you guys all just going through your comments are just. You guys are all true Bears fans. You know what you're talking about. It's great talking.
Nelson. Ting Pang Dong, if I pronounced that correctly. Ting Pang Dong. I don't know.
Tin Pan Dog.
Tin Pan Dog. Okay. Dog.
Yeah.
That's right. Dog.
Dylan Prescott.
Yep. T3P podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, you guys in the chat, we truly appreciate you guys, all of you. So we want to take the time to try to acknowledge you guys because, man, without you, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely not. Dr. Earl. That was a new guest. We haven't seen him before. Gosh. It's a 3-hour show, so trying to scroll through this is a little sorry guys.
I went through it top to bottom just now.
Okay.
Bottom to top and then back down.
If we missed you, we strongly apologize.
A-Rod Allen.
Thank you, A-Rod.
There's one on this. Nicholas Albright.
Jay Sanders.
Jay Sanders.
Zilch
Bubble 3902.
Whoa.
King Carl.
Yeah, King Buki World.
King Buka World.
King Buka World.
Yeah, guys, we truly appreciate all you guys.
Absolutely.
We could probably go read this off for another 20 minutes because it keeps going up and up and up. But we seriously, honestly, really, really appreciate you guys. Without you, this doesn't happen. Everyone who's subscribed recently, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Set your notifications. Comment below. Let us know what you think.
Please comment, man.
You can email the show if you would like to join us.
Anybody listening or
banner below.
I'd like to read the comments, man.
Email BearsCountryPodcast at gmail.com to join the show if you would like to join us one night.
Bearski, thanks for the film. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your input, man. Your films are great, man. I want to say that again to you. I like what you shared with us with the films. I'm going to actually go, when we're done here, I'm going to go actually watch them again, man. Your film was pretty good. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Very well done. Guys, let's end this show on a 1, 2, 3.
Bears.
That's the opener. Let's do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.